Welcome back to the Unlockable podcast. I hope everyone's February has been great, and I hope you got to feel very loved by someone or something. Today, Hannah and I will be talking about video game concepts that we absolutely love. There's a lot of negativity on the internet, but February is the month of love, so we're being super positive for the next couple of hours, for the most part. Whether you're listening for the first time or you're a dedicated fan, we love you and appreciate you, and we ask that you please leave us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening to this or a thumbs up on YouTube, and let's get started. Welcome back to the Unlockable podcast. My name is Christian, and joining me, as always, is the Game Girl Advanced SP herself.
That's me.
We are... What episode did we say this was?
35, man. Come on.
35. Very nice. That's 35-ish months of... Man, that is a lot of months, man. That's a long time we've been doing this.
That's almost...
My gosh.
Well, I mean, it's past 3 years. So, yeah. Missed a few episodes, but other than that, heck yeah.
Why do you always have to bring that up, Hannah?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm the one that always brings it up. Did you know that last week a meteorite landed in South Texas?
What? Where? How big?
It's called a little city called McAllen, Texas. I think it's pretty close to Mexico, but yeah, I don't think it hit anybody's house or anything, but it's pretty crazy stuff.
That is insane. No, I had no idea. Why did I hear about that?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a space rock. It's a flying, flaming space rock.
My understanding is that it's not that rare of an occurrence and that thousands of them hit Earth all year long.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, but it's so cool.
It is very cool. I agree. With that being said, what space rocks have been landing in your mailbox lately, Hannah?
Wow.
Huh?
That was fantastic. What was that? Anyway, so I recently just pre-ordered Lovers in a Space Time, or Dangerous Space Time, which I think was a super rare game. It's like one of like the really, really expensive ones, like when they first started. But now it's coming from limited run games. So that's a controversy in itself. But anyway, pre-ordered that, and Dokapon Kingdom, which is the Mario Party-esque RPG that we talked about, I think last month. And then
I think so.
I just...
Wait, did you get that, or did you just order it?
It's pre-ordered.
Okay.
And then I also just picked up Metroid Prime Remastered from Best Buy today, which
Woo!
I guess the physical release is kind of like sold out everywhere and hard to find, which is kind of surprising. You think?
Yeah, what's going on with that, Nintendo?
I don't know. You think Nintendo would want to push it, but maybe they didn't expect it to be as, sell as well as it did. But I'm glad it did. Metroid Prime fans are happy. So yeah, they charge $40 for that, which I think is a whole lot better than $60. But
Yeah.
It's weird. Well, I guess we'll talk about it later. But it's weird that it's only the first one and not the trilogy. But whatever. That's Nintendo for you. And then I also bought the Outbound Ghost, which is the Paper Mario-esque clone that the publisher published without the developer approving it on the Switch. So supposedly it's really, really bad. But the only bad things I've heard about it is the load times are kind of atrocious and it's a little slow, but I could probably deal with it. But yeah, I bought that because I feel like that might be kind of a rare, or maybe not rare, but an expensive kind of
No,
game
that's a
in
good
the future.
pickup.
And it was on sale, so woohoo! But that's it.
Are you gonna play that one?
I think I'm gonna try, unless it's super atrociously awful, then I might put it down. But I'm pretty patient. I'm a pretty patient person. I think I can handle it.
What was the sale price?
I think it sold. I think MSRP is $35, but it was marked down to $25, and I had a $5 off reward, so it's $21 plus tax, or including tax.
That seems like a very good spec pick right there as a collector. That was a good choice.
I agree. Excited about it. Yep, that's all I got.
So I decided to buy a car this month, so
What?
that's a pickup. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so therefore my video game purchases, you got that huge shock of like losing a lot of money all at once for a large purchase. So it's been like I've been slowly recovering mentally from that. So I haven't bought a lot of games, but I did write a few down. I've been getting back into the swing of it this week. The swing of blowing money on useless junk, that is.
Okay.
So I got Pitfall: The Lost Expedition. I think that is, I don't know what that's like. Like, it's a sequel to Pitfall on the Atari, obviously. I'm kind of curious to see what the heck it's like on the GameCube. I got Monster House. Guess what? I already had Monster House.
Oh, dude.
Big mistake.
That's
Didn't I?
twice.
I just did this last month. Yeah.
Wow.
At least it wasn't a $90 game this time.
Jeez.
Rayman Legends. So you might have some information for me here, but Rayman Legends Definitive Edition, I got it on the Switch. My friend Vinny reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, bro, like check this out." It was like a Facebook group talking about this version of Rayman Legends that has no cartridge. It's a download code only. And so he knows I collect Rayman. He sent it to me. I bought it, and there was only one on eBay. So my question is, you might not know, but obviously there is a Switch physical cartridge version of this. How long has this digital version been out? Like, is this a new thing, and that's why there's not many copies on eBay, or what's the deal with this?
That is super interesting. First of all, why? It's already... The whole download code in a box thing kind of makes me angry. Because I understand the premise, but like the fact that they already had physical copies and they're like, well, let's just go to digital now. That's really silly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That is odd. I have not seen that in stores, but I guess I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, my theory is that the reason, I mean, I have nothing to back this up, but it could be that the reason that there are so few on eBay is because it just came out. It's like a late printing of this game. Ubisoft's trying to milk it or whatever. That would explain that, or it could just be rare. It's one of the two. I don't know.
Huh, that's very interesting. I think your theory is right, though. I think that's, we've already made such and such $1 million on it. Let's just print codes in boxes.
I guess we will see in the near future. I had to buy that instantly. So yeah, and I got Metroid Fusion. That was the biggest pickup of the month for sure. I got a box and a manual and all the inserts to complete my Metroid Fusion. So it's beautiful.
Wow. Did you not pick up Metroid Prime?
Oh no, I did not. So I didn't think I was gonna have to pre-order that game, and so I haven't really been on top of people posting the link to pre-order it. I was just like, oh yeah, it's $40 and it's a game that's not Mario 3D All-Stars. Like, I'm just gonna walk into Best Buy, GameStop, whatever, and buy it. And I was gonna wait to talk about it till the news, but we can talk about it now. Like, I honestly don't know what's going on. I think it's what you said. They didn't expect people to care about this game for some reason, and it's sold out. And I do think that it will come back in stock. Personally, I think it's just a matter of time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're not gonna just sit with their hands under their butts and be like, yeah, we're just gonna sit on this. No, they're gonna make all the money they want.
I'm not sure. I think I will play it. I'm going to buy it for sure. The question is, am I going to play the game? And I think that... So when I played Metroid Prime like 4, 5, 6 years ago, I really enjoyed it. It was on the... I think I played it on GameCube, not Wii. But I played the game. I thought I was like tough stuff, like cool as heck, and I could play games on hard mode. I played this game on veteran mode, and it was so... not enjoyable to experience it on like dying constantly, and I will not be doing that with the remaster.
That's funny. It's only veterans mode. That's the only mode.
That would be my advice to any of you out there picking this up right now. Don't play Veterans Mode on your first playthrough.
That's probably smart. It's probably why they call it Veterans Mode, not Hard Mode.
Yeah, right? That's
Come on.
very... I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it. You going to play it this weekend?
Yeah, I am. I got a free
Nice.
schedule, so heck yeah, I am. Very excited. Looking forward to it.
Let's talk about been playing. Um, Go ahead. I know you've been playing a lot.
I've been playing a whole lot. So, GoldenEye came out on Nintendo Switch Online. I don't know if I talked about this last month or not, but I've been playing GoldenEye. I beat it on just regular old agent mode, which is like the easiest mode you can do. I'm skipping right past Secret Agent, which is like the middle level, and going right to Double O Agent. And let me tell you, I'm clearly awful at this game because that's really hard. um, yeah, but anyway, okay, so I learned something that's really cool. So people have um, said that the controls of GoldenEye on the Joy-Con controllers is atrocious, but I don't have to worry about that because I got the Nintendo 64 controller. Anyway, when you hook up the N64 controller to like Nintendo Switch Online and like you go to the Nintendo 64 selection screen, there's like kind of like Easter egg is kind of thing. So when you move from like game to game, it's not just like the normal click noise, but like it's like the... Do you remember Super Mario 64 when you select the stars? It's like that noise.
Yeah.
And there's also, when you power on the controller, it vibrates, and then you hear the Nintendo 64 like warp pipe sound. So it's like there's a whole bunch of cool like little noises that you get, but only when you connect the Nintendo 64 controller. I thought that was so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I didn't know that. That was fun. And then I also tried Sin and Punishment. The only thing I can say about that game is Japanese people must have like 10 fingers on each hand because the controls in that game are freaking wackadoodle-doo. Like, I don't know. You have to hold the stick, and you have to use the A, B, and the directional buttons, but then you also have to use the D-pad and all these other buttons.
No
and
way.
My hand is, yeah, dude, my hand is like backwards and up, and I'm like moving my hand all around, and I'm like, I'm gonna break this controller trying to move. Because you have to aim like your cursor, right, with like the analog stick. But then you also have to move your character like left and right, which is the directional stuff, and you have to shoot at the same time. Like, there's no way people play this normally. They must have a third person there, or like octopus hands or something. It's crazy. But I played that for a little while, and then my hands got really crampy, and I was like, you know what, this might not be for me. And then, because why not, I also tried the other shooting game on Nintendo Switch Online, which is called Winback Covert Operations. I didn't like it, so I stopped. But I played it for like 25 minutes. Thought I'd mention. Then I also played the game that you wanted me to translate for you, which is Kudu Kudu Kududen. And that game is so fun.
There's been like 4 podcast episodes where I brought that game up and how hyped I am to try it, and I've never played it. I literally own the cartridge.
It is so fun. So I played it in like the easy mode, and I beat it in like, I just said you beat it probably in like a night. And then I went to whatever their hard mode is called, and it gets really difficult really quickly. So in easy mode, the bar that like it's like spinning all the time, you have to like navigate through mazes and stuff, is like a lot shorter. So you can fit through like any passage if you have like perfect accuracy. But with the big wand, it's like super go-go gadget extendo wand, and you could not fit anywhere. It has to be like super duper precise. So it is incredibly difficult and very frustrating, but very fun. Definitely suggest
Hard mode
playing
just
that.
makes your ship larger?
Yeah. Yes.
That's crazy. That's pretty cool.
And then I also have started playing Breath of the Wild again. I know I shouldn't, because I'm dumping another 1,000 hours into that game, but I've just been so excited for Tears of the Kingdom, and I keep watching like theory videos about it, and like, oh, this happens in this area, and I'm like, oh, I must go investigate. Like, it's gonna be there in Breath of the Wild, but it's not. But I love that game, and I'll play that game until I die. And then the other game I'm playing is Bayonetta, which we're playing together but separately.
Separate but together.
Separate but together, sure. But yeah, that one was fun. I'll leave my thoughts for it until next month. But yep, that's all I've been playing.
Yeah, next month we're doing Bayonetta. For those of you listeners out there, we're going to have a Bayonetta episode for two noobs who have never played the series.
Well, I have limited experience with the series.
I would say the same. I played it for a good couple of hours in the
Me
past.
too. And then I quit. And then playing it again, it made me realize why I quit. But I had to power through.
Dang. What about Game & Watch Gallery, Hannah? I'm dying to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, yeah! Okay, so I played Game & Watch Gallery. And it's called... I think it's the third one. So it's Game & Watch Gallery 3. And I was just playing around with, like, the Yoshi's Cookie one, where Yoshi sits in the middle and you have to use the directional thing to, like, catch cookies from the right and the left and top and bottom, whatever. And I was doing so well. I got, like... What did I send you? It was like 600 points on my very first try, and I was like, this must be a world record. it was so stressful. But it was such a high score. It's crazy. That was really fun. That's the only game I played, though.
Every time I'm at a game store and I see those games, I've never played them, but they always, like, draw me in with the cover art. But, yeah, I want to play those one day.
It's the greatest collection of all.
It's on the NSO. I can play it now.
Yes, it is. That it is.
What I have been playing instead of things I want to play, I'm still playing through Bayonetta. I just started playing through Bayonetta. I'm enjoying it. It is like the most fun homework, honestly, for us to schedule a podcast about a game, and for me to like have to play it. Honestly, this is the best. Like, great idea for us. Pat on the back. I'm loving it.
Homework.
Yeah, I haven't had homework in a few years. This is nice.
It's great homework. The best homework there is, one might say.
Still trying to get some Pokemon Scarlet down. Haven't played in like 2 weeks, but still trying to complete that Pokédex. I think we're going to get some DLC soon, my friend was telling me.
Ooh.
Beat Sonic Adventure last night live on stream. And by that I mean I actually went through and played all of the different stories. When I beat it last year, I just beat Sonic's story, so I did go play literally, I don't know, 75% of the game in the last couple of months. So even though you roll credits, you don't really beat that game when you beat one story. Like, that's like 1/6 of the game, so...
Huh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't think I knew it either, but it's a game that anyone listening can definitely avoid. It is not a great game. Fight me in the comments.
When you were playing it was giving major Mario Sunshine vibes.
Oh shoot, it's way easier than Mario Sunshine. Yeah, also drop a comment if you can figure out what is wrong with Mario Sunshine. I still have no idea what the problem is. That game is just not good. Mario 3D World and Crash 4 I'm playing with my girlfriend. 2 amazing games. Replaying Mario 3D World and playing Crash 4 for the first time still. So those are the 5 things I have spent my time playing in the last month.
Wow. Very nice.
Less games than you, Hannah.
Yeah, that's probably true. This will be the only time when that'll be true.
Let's talk about the Nintendo Direct.
All right. Sure can. So I was taking notes for this, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take notes on the things that I find interesting or that people might like, that's like super popular and whatnot. But literally everything was so good. I wrote down every single thing. Pretty much.
All right.
So, the first thing that we saw, first thing that I care about, we got some more footage from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which we theorized was going to be the opener, and then some big other thing was going to be the closer, but it was not. Yeah. This was actually the closer. It was like 2 minutes and 15 seconds of new footage, and they reconfirmed that it will be coming out on May 12th. And boy, I have watched so many theory videos about it. I'm almost sick of it, but like not really. Could you ever be sick of it? Then Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp gets a release date of April 21st. So it's actually coming out, we think.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Very exciting.
Maybe. And then we talked about this obviously, but Game Boy and Game Boy Advance are now part of Nintendo Switch Online. But Game Boy games and Game Boy Color games are available with the normal Nintendo Switch subscription. But Game Boy Advance, you have to have the expansion pass to play.
I'm kind of surprised they gave the regular customers anything, honestly. But
Well,
I'm here for it.
I mean, Game Boy is kind of on the same level as, I mean, just NES games. It's like they're great. Obviously, they're classics, but they're
I
still
see
like
what you're
kind of
saying.
bare bones. You know what I'm saying?
I'm really excited to try like the games, but I'm really loving the like I watched a whole 20-minute video from YouTube channel Daily Beating and like it looks so good with the pixel perfect graphics. It looks so good with the color filter for the freaking Game Boy games. I'm very excited to play those games.
It does look great. I think they did a really good job with that. They went above and beyond. And then we talked about this earlier, but Metroid Prime Remake Shadow dropped after the Direct, obviously digitally, and it just came out physically on February 22nd. For $40, we said that. Then Pikmin 4 got a release date of July 21st. Not a Pikmin fan, but it looked pretty cool. Then another
Have you
thing
tried Pikmin?
I have. So my friend, like back when I was in high school, she made me play like a lot of her favorite GameCube games, and we played Pikmin. I think it was Pikmin 1. I don't know, it's not really my thing. The thing that I do love about Pikmin though is I don't know if you remember a game called Nintendo Land for the Wii U. It's like one of my favorite freaking Wii U games. But there's a Pikmin mini game in there, and that game was so damn fun. So I think, oh, man, I can't remember exactly what you can do, but there was a camera obviously on the Wii U gamepad, and you could take a picture of your face, and then it would put your face on like the Pikmin. And then literally the point of the game is just to smash your face into objects and destroy them. But it's like your face being smashed, and oh my god, we had such a fun time. It was also late at night, so I'm sure it's probably not that fun of a game, but like just playing with your friend, it was a lot of fun.
This
It's
must
good
be the
stuff.
same friend that loves Kirby Air Ride with you.
Yes, that is true. Same friend. She also made me
Nice.
play
Love it.
Animal Crossing, and she was like, "Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll play for a week, and then give you the game with the memory card, and then you play for a week, and then we'll visit each other and blah blah blah." And I was like, "I don't like Animal Crossing. I really don't like it." And she also used to make fun of me because I used to just dig holes all over the place because you get like bells and stuff, and she's like, "That is the worst way to get bells." And I was like, "Well, I don't know. I like it." Going around digging holes everywhere. Anyway, the next thing, which I'm super duper excited for, is Bait and Kato's 1 and 2 HD Remaster was announced coming this summer. Woohoo!
It's pretty freaking cool.
It's so great. I'm so excited. So now I don't have to pay freaking $500 at half price books for Bait and Kato's Origin.
That's true. You've been waiting to play that for years.
So freaking long, but I never wanted to spend hundreds of dollars for it. Anyway,
Well, it paid off.
the only downside, though, is there is no word if there's going to be a North American physical yet. I know there's one in Japan, but you can't pre-order it here yet. So I'm hoping when we get closer to summer, there'll be one. But we're kind of like really close to summer, and there's nothing about it yet. So if they don't have a physical for that, I'm going to be so upset.
What's the release date? Is there one?
No, it's just summer 2023.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. We'll see. Then, we also saw some more Dead Cells Castlevania footage, which is coming on March 6th. That looked pretty cool. Very, very
Oh crap, that's so close.
beautifully visual. Visual were so cool. It almost made me want to pick up the game, but I don't like those kinds of games. Then, we saw this one, we're like, this is stupid. But it's Fashion Dreamer, which is like the fashion open world, like fashion game or whatever. Which is not super interesting, except for the fact that it's a new IP from Exceed Games. Which is wild. Found that one out. So Exceed is like, they published Pandora's Tower, I believe, and The Last Story on the Wii, part of Operation Rainfall. And usually their games are pretty expensive later down the road. So
Right.
this one is interesting. It's weird, but good for them. Then the next thing is Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, which is a really cult classic, expensive game on the DS, which I've never heard of until I looked it up. But it's coming to the Switch.
What is the title?
Ghost Trick Phantom Detective.
Oh, yeah. No, I never heard of that one either.
It's like a $200 game or something like that, I think. Or maybe it was like $120, I don't know, I can't remember. But, I mean, pretty expensive for a DS game.
Yeah.
It's coming to Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One X, and also PC and all that, but, and sometime this year. So, we'll see. Hopefully it drives down the DS game price. Also, We Love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie is coming to the Switch. So I guess Katamari Damacy, is that what it's called? The first one did well enough. So they're bringing more Katamari games. That's cool.
I'm super happy to see Katamari getting more love. What is Reverie? Is that like that's the second time Namco has remastered their game and put Reverie on it. What does that mean?
I should know that. Reverie, I always feel like it has something to do with like a memory, but I think that's probably just because it sounds like it. I don't know. We both look stupid. Now we both look dumb. Okay. Next thing is Splatoon 3 has got some paid DLC incoming. That's not surprising. Haven't all of the Splatoons got paid DLC?
I feel like the Wii U game did not.
Alright, well, the second one has, following suit with the third. Next is a new Professor Layton game called Professor Layton in the New World of Steam. Is coming at some point. It was a very, very short teaser, but we knew exactly what it was. Like, Professor Layton. Then we have Harmony, the Fall of Reverie. So great, there's that word again. It's coming to Switch. It's a game made by the same people who brought us Life is Strange. So if you like those kind of games, there you go. Then, finally, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's next wave of DLC is coming in the spring, and it will bring a Yoshi's Island course and Birdo. Everyone's favorite large-nosed pink thing. A mouth? Is it the nose or the mouth?
Yes.
Okay. And that's it. That was everything that I found interesting at the Direct.
You know what I really am pumped for? It was a secret. It is a little bit of a sleeper. I mean, it's one that am not usually. I don't know. It's the Disney game, Illusion Island or whatever. That game looks awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's a 2D platformer. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
I really love Rayman Origins and Legends, and it just looks a lot like that, and I'm here for it. It looks like a 4-player 2D platformer with some. It's probably gonna be like really slick controls and everything. I don't know. It looks like a good game. I'm gonna buy it.
It does look good. I don't think it's online multiplayer though. I think it's only local co-op. I think is what I heard.
Probably.
So that's a bummer. But yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that one.
I don't know who's developing that, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, that one does sound cool. But yeah, it was a pretty packed Direct. It was got a little slow in the middle there, but then bam, it packed a punch, man. Let me tell you, so many things.
It is weird that we didn't get the Prime trilogy. I mean, are we gonna see the other 2 games ever?
I don't know. I guess it depends on how far away Metroid Prime 4 is. If it's like 6 years away, then we got 6 years to get those 2 more games. I don't know. It's weird.
Anything else you want to cover for news?
Oh, dude, I have so much news, but I will cut it short since we're kind of far in. E3 is officially dead. I don't know if we talked about that. None of the big 3 are going. There are.
You know what? Hang on.
Okay.
I saw a tweet that made me. I saw a tweet that kind of spoke to me a couple weeks ago. It was like, even though, or maybe this was a podcast. Even though the 3 big companies aren't going to be there, it's still like you have people like Squaresoft, Ubisoft, Capcom that can still show off their games. I think Konami. I just saw a tweet tonight that Konami might be releasing like a remake of Metal Gear and /or Castlevania. So, there's still room. At first, I was like, okay, Nintendo, Xbox, not Sega, PlayStation.
Sega.
They're not going to be there. Then, what is left? And it's like, oh, well, everything is still left, Um, so it's not dead, It's dead for, like, my dream of ever wanting to go to E3. That's
Yeah.
gone, a thing of the past. But I do think that we could see some cool things come out of it.
No, I think that's true. And it's not like Nintendo and them won't have a direct in this, well, whatever they call it, state of play direct or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They won't, not like they're not going to still have that. So it's still going to be an exciting time. But just the E3 that we know to love is now dead and gone
It died
forever.
when Reggie left.
You know what? You're right. Darn you, Reggie. Anyway. We got leaked images that have revealed that a Legend of Zelda Lego set could be on the horizon.
Oh.
So that's pretty fun. Also, apparently, Detective Pikachu 2, the movie, is still happening. Like 10 years after its
Did you see the first one?
release. Yeah, and it was incredible.
Oh, dang. I have not seen it.
No, it was good. It was a good, lighthearted kind of take on the Pokemon universe. I thought it was fun.
Nice.
Let's see. The Switch is now the third best-selling console of all time, with 122 million units sold, which is just behind the DS and the PS2.
Dang.
That's crazy.
Round of applause.
Heck yeah. The Super Mario movie released a in-movie Mario game, or like Mario Bros. Plumbing commercial. So it's like supposed to be advertised to the people of the Super Mario Bros. World, but it looks like a real commercial. Anyway, there's like a website and a number that you can call, which is kind of cool. Also, the final teaser is going to be shown off in the Super Mario movie Direct on March 9th. Oh, so close to March 10th, which everyone knows is Mario Day. Missed that one. Also, PSA that the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom art book has leaked in its entirety, so there are spoilers out there, so be careful. Sucks.
Oh, we have both secured our Tears of the Kingdom special editions.
That's
a big news thing right there.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, so it sold out. I think it was Best Buy first, and I was like, dude, I missed it. I'm gonna not sleep well at all. Went to sleep, didn't sleep a wink, because they always just drop that stuff on Twitter, just randomly on their website at freaking 10:33 at night, and you're like, well, I wasn't on my phone then. Anyway, so I woke up that next morning, freaked out about it, and then I sat down for class, and then I just happened to be scrolling Twitter in the 15 minutes before my class starts, and then it dropped on GameStop, and I ordered it real quick, and then I texted you. I was like, oh my god, it's up, go, 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 go. And I literally we purchased it within like 3 minutes of it dropping on Twitter, because once people drop it on Twitter, everyone knows about it, and then it sells out so quickly. But I happened to be on Twitter the exact moment that they posted it, and I got it. And
I texted
thankful.
one of my friends and got him to buy it, so it was a nice chain reaction there.
Oh, it was so good. That was like, it was so lucky, because it sold out like within 5-6 minutes at every location. Wow. Target, Best Buy. I'm not sure if Amazon has had theirs up yet, but literally everywhere sold out. Walmart all sold out. So, thank God. I told you, I texted you, I was like, I slept so well last night, knowing that I secured my copy. It was great.
We'll see how limited that ends up being.
I assume very. I mean, the Breath of the Wild one's super limited. I'm surprised I got that one too.
That just makes me want to believe that there's corrections being made for the sequel, but that could be false hope.
Come on. They're limited edition for a reason, my dude.
It's special edition, right?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. Special edition, limited edition, they're all limited when it comes to Nintendo. Other companies, maybe not so much. Also, let's see. Microsoft has signed a 10-year contract to bring Call of Duty games to Nintendo platforms on the same day as they release on the Xbox. So that's cool for Call of Duty players. Actually, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Haven't seen a COD since the Wii U.
And that one was great, wasn't it?
I don't know. It was Black Ops 2. I don't know. I think people have said good things about it. I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but
I was being sarcastic. I'm sure it was great. Last thing we have. There will be a Pokemon Direct on Pokemon Day, which is February 27th. So I assume that's probably where they're going to announce the Scarlet and Violet DLC, but we'll see. It's very exciting.
Pokemon Day.
Yep, that's all I got. That wraps up the news.
All right, let's do it. Today we're talking about concepts that we love in video games, because it is the month of love. February. Happy Valentine's Day, listeners. So yeah, we're gonna do just like, I don't know, 30, 40 concepts here. And
just 30.
All the concepts. I didn't split my pages up here. Let's get this organized.
Oh no,
Come
on, bro.
Double screen action. All right. So I don't know. Do we have anything we need to say prior to going in here?
I guess caveats? We should say that the title is probably going to be concepts that we love, but it could also be like art styles or mechanics or just anything unique about, any game, literally anywhere that you like. Be like, wow, you play a game and you're like, wow, I really like that. That really made my experience, better. Or I like that game just because you can do this. Something like that. Just things that you love.
I wish I would have known that when I was making my notes.
I literally told you that. Don't even.
Let's get into it. Let's start with time travel. Talk to me about time travel, because you wrote this one down, and I don't know what the heck you're talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about like in a story concept.
Yeah. So I am super interested in like sci-fi stuff. So any kind of game that tackles the idea of time travel, I don't know. I just really appreciate it. So I have 4 different instances that I have picked up on games when it comes to time travel. So there's time travel where things you do in the past affect the future, but you cannot control the past at the same time as the present. So like you go back in time and you do something, and then you play the present and something else happens. And I'll give examples of these in a second. And then going back in time to like completely change the future that you're playing through. So like you're playing through a current time, you go back in time, and then like you change the event so that whatever you were playing never happens. I have an example of that. And then of course Zelda is like super notorious for the splitting of timelines and or creating alternate timelines. So some examples I have are Skyward Sword, which is... So there's a unique mechanic called like the time shift stones. Have you played Skyward Sword? I can't remember. Oh, dude. Anyway, so there's a mechanic called the time shift stones, which is you hit this like ancient stone kind of technology-esque thing, and then it like temporarily transports the area where you are back in time. So like when you use it, you're in like the desert area, and so when you hit the stone, it transports that area to like fresh, lush grass and like waterfalls and like trees everywhere. So it like brings it back in time to a point where it was before. So that's a really cool mechanic. That's how you like kind of traverse the land a little bit. Also in Skyward Sword and the Temple of Time, I think, or like the pre-Temple of Time, I can't remember. Gosh, I'm such a fake Zelda fan. Anyway, you plant a seed. So you're in the current day, right? And then you go through a portal back in time, and you get a seed for a tree, like a special tree. I don't want to give anything away, but it's a special tree, and you plant it in the past. Then you go back to the present that you were playing, and the tree is grown. So that's really cool. I like stuff like that. Would that really happen if we were to travel back in time? Who knows? Also, Skyward Sword, the old woman that you... Well, this is kind of a spoiler, so plug your ears if you don't want to know. But the woman that you meet, Impa, in the beginning of the game, the old woman who like guards the Gate of Time, she is actually the old version of Impa that is leading Zelda around, like the young Impa. So
Yeah.
that's super cool. I don't know, it's just kind of cool to think about stuff like that. Then, in Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Donna, which is one of my favorite games of all time, by the way, you go back in time and you control Donna, who lived like thousands and thousands of years ago, but then you can also play as Adol, which is the red-haired character, who's like the main character in all of these games, and you play in the current day, but then you can also play as Donna in like thousands of years ago, but they don't necessarily tell you that it's thousands of years ago. You just think it's kind of like, I don't know, like at a different place or whatever. But the things that she does affects what happens to Adol in the future, and they're communicating, because she's obviously long gone, it's thousands of years ago, but she's also communicating at the same time as the present as Adol. So I don't know, that kind of concept just really blows my mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's pretty freaking cool.
So that was super cool. And it's also like super mysterious until the end. You're like, oh wow, that's what's been happening this whole time. That's so sick. Then another mechanic is Majora's Mask, where you play through like the span of 3 days, but then at the end of the 3 days, in order to like stop a tragedy from happening, you play the Song of Time, you go back in time, and you start it all over again. So it's really only a span of 3 days, but you keep having.
Not sure I understand.
Oh no, Siri. And then you go back in time, and you play those 3 days again, and you see if you can beat the tragedy.
That's actually I did not realize how many Zelda games had time travel. Like instantly I thought of Ocarina of Time, but I haven't even played Skyward Sword. There's a game literally called A Link to the Past. Then you got the 3 days of Majora's Mask. Like, yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I mean, it could be one of the reasons why I like this series so much. I mean, it has so much to do with time travel. And I didn't mention Ocarina of Time because that one just splits the timeline into 3. And I didn't think we had enough time to explain that. But the last example I have here is another Zelda game, go figure, but it's Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So this one is non-canon, I do believe, because it kind of, we don't know, it has been unconfirmed by Nintendo if it takes the timeline and it erases the current day, or if it creates an alternate timeline like they did in Avengers Endgame, where like they went back and then they did something and it created a branch, but then they came back and clipped it off. We don't know if it's like one of those kind of things. So anyway, in the game, you see the events of Breath of the Wild taking over, where Ganon is like corrupting everything and he's trying to take over Hyrule. But then an egg-shaped guardian wakes up, goes back in time, and then creates, like I said, either a new timeline or like a giant loop of time where you prevent the events of Breath of the Wild from happening entirely. So that's why it's not canon. But I don't know, I just thought that was super cool. So, like, the events of Breath of the Wild never happened. All that, like, death and destruction, it stopped. It's good. It's thwarted. No longer. So it's much, much happier. But yeah,
I
love
imagine
time
people,
travel.
the only way these things get confirmed is, like, at some kind of convention and, like, an important game director is there and someone raises their hand in the audience and is like, hey, Age of Calamity, what do you think about this? Did that count or no? And then they just come up with stuff on the spot and they're like, yeah, that counts.
Nintendo is so tight-lipped about the timeline. Like, since they posted it in the Hyrule Historia, which is the green Dark Horse book, the official timeline, they have not said a word about where anything goes. Like, people suspect that Breath of the Wild goes, like, at the very, very end of the timeline, like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, to the point where all the timelines just kind of converge, and that's where they're all going anyway. Or it's like a reboot, or it just takes place in another universe. We don't know, but Nintendo's not going to say nothing about it. So it's just going to be one of those things where we'll guess for the end of time. But yeah, I love time travel. You put it in any game, I'll be like, heck yeah, I love that. It's great.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. I can't even think of any on the spot that have time travel.
Wow.
But
Loser.
we can go into our next one here. Unique mechanics / gimmicks.
Yes.
I'll let you take a breather there for a second. I love gimmicks and like I guess this would qualify as a gimmick, but like I just love when games make really good use of peripherals that the platform has to offer. You've got touch screens with the Wii U gamepad, the 3DS, DS. I love that crap. Not even just the touchscreen though. All of those have a camera. I'm not like the biggest fan, or I guess I haven't been convinced that a camera is something that adds value to a game. Sounds like smashing things with your your face in a
face.
Pikmin game is probably the best, as good as it gets.
That's peak. That is peak performance right there.
Peak camera. But yeah, that's if you're gonna use it, that makes me happy. Just like in general, using both screens makes me happy. I remember playing Phantom Hourglass, being stuck. I could not progress. I was like, what does this riddle mean? It was like something about touching the two tablets together or something. I closed my DS, went away for a while, and came back, and literally it was like, you did it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had to literally touch the two screens together. So
genius.
That blew my mind as a young lad. Games like Breath of the Wild, I was really super excited to have the tablet be the Wii U gamepad, and I thought I was going to have the upper hand over people who bought the Switch version, but alas, no. So it was just a black screen on the Wii U gamepad, and that was lame. It's also like that on Tropical Freeze, just as another random example. Go ahead.
The Sheikah Slate in Breath of the Wild was supposed to be like the gamepad, but then of course with the Switch coming out and the Wii U's failure, it kind of changed. But imagine how cool that would have been.
It would have been sick.
Oh, that'd been so cool. Because I remember Aonuma showing off like some of the things that the Wii U gamepad could do, like back in like 2014 or something crazy. Like years and years and years and years before Breath of the Wild actually came out. And it looked really awesome. Like you could see the map while you were exploring. You could like put pins down and draw stuff, and it's sad that we never got to do that.
It all worked out for the better, I suppose.
That's
for
true.
The Switch,
Still
at
put
least.
1,000 hours in it.
Motion controls. I freaking love the Wii. Oh, we're gonna save that one for next. PS4 and PS5 have like this touchpad on their controller. I haven't played a whole lot of PlayStation, but like, I imagine there are games out there that use that pretty well, and good on them. I just don't have any examples. And then like little things like the speaker on the Wii remote. I don't know what console you played Guitar Hero on, but if I ever missed a note, it would sound like I was breaking, if like I was snapping a string on my guitar from the sound effect of the Wii remote. Yeah, it's like so cool.
That is cool.
I love crap like that. What about you?
I agree. So what I have is, even though we don't like Super Mario Sunshine, I really liked Flood. I thought that was a really cool mechanic. I liked being able to jump and then maybe not quite making the jump and then turn on my turbo jets and fly just a little bit further. I really enjoyed that. And also like that one level where you like bounce on the mushrooms and stuff and you're like bouncing all crazy. But if you turn Flood on at the right moment, you can stick the landing. So I really like that.
That's true. That's a good point.
Another cool thing about the Mario series, I really liked Cappy in Super Mario Odyssey. I thought that kind of added a new layer of exploration. If you could time jumping on the hat at the correct time, you could also, make further gaps or whatever. And the stuff that people could do while you're flinging your hat jumping was really, really awesome. I really like seeing that.
That stuff bends my mind. I'm like, there's no way I could push that many buttons at once.
Yeah, dude, definitely not. I'm not a Fortnite player. Another game that comes to mind is Yoshi's Crafted World. I just loved how they really leaned into, like, the crafting part of everything. I've talked about this game a lot, but, like, I love making things with my hands, right? I'm a very crafty person, I like to think. So, like, the trees were made out of paper and, like, clothespins, and then there was, like, levels made out of, like, milk cartons and, like, cracker boxes, and just, I thought it was so unique and different and so finely crafted.
For
and
sure.
Then similarly, with Paper Mario, you can do this in Craft World too, but you can like actually flip the stage completely around, so you're looking at it from like, I don't know, north to south, and you can switch it over to like east to west, and you can look at it kind of from different angles. I really enjoyed that. Definitely gave a different layer to like how you could explore things. Another thing is where you can play as animals. I don't know, I think that's super cool. So a popular game is Goose Game. You know, you're a goose and you wreak havoc on town, yeah. And then another example, which I'm sad that I probably won't get to play it, but is Stray. We were playing as like the stray cat. I thought that was so cool.
That's an interesting one. I feel
Love
like
that.
there's a lot of games that let you play as an animal.
Yeah, I know, but those are just recent examples. There's also Skatebird, where you're a bird that like skates around and like fly and stuff. I don't know. I just find that so interesting. There's obviously a lot of examples, but those are just ones that came to mind. The other one I have is Paper Mario. It's hit or miss, but like some of the things they do is really cool. So they really kind of leaned into the paper thing with the origami stuff, and how Mario can have like stretchy hands and he can pull down different things. From like there's like a corner loose, you can pull it down, stuff like that. And like the paint mechanic, I thought was kind of cool. Um, but yeah, just interesting. I mean, they're all gimmicks, but you know, some of them are fun. I mean, the Switch is a gimmick. That's the thing. It's a Switch. You can play at
Nintendo
home
is
or...
a gimmick.
Right. But anyway, I like that. I think it adds a new layer of like, just a different way to look at things. New layer of gameplay.
Absolutely. We can get into motion controls where I was about to lead us. Yeah,
Take it away.
I guess there's so much greatness that came out of the Wii. I think I think that all the first party games, that used the motion controls were excellent. I think it was kind of lame when, like, there's a reason you didn't buy the cross platform games on the Wii. It's partly because they would try to add in motion controls and it wasn't a good effort. And, the other part is obviously just like less power than the competitors. But, no one wants to play Call of Duty with motion controls, and when they could just be playing with two sticks on a PS3 or 360 controller. I'm speaking from experience. I didn't have a 360 for years, and so I played Call of Duty 5 for a lot of hours on the Wii. I was in there. But yeah, I do think when motion controls are done right, I freaking love it. I think a lot of people hate them. Um, what do you have for us on motion controls?
I pretty much said the same thing. My first bullet point was the Wii was great. Dot dot dot. I loved all of the Wii Sports game, bowling, tennis, boxing. I think it was like revolutionary. It was the coolest thing ever. But I also said it's a double-edged sword. Because I like it for certain games, but not for others. I don't like when it's like forcefully implemented, and it's just like, why would I ever want to do this? I think especially for games like RPGs and stuff where it's like really important that you have a lot of buttons. I didn't really like playing Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. There's the nunchuck attachment that you could use and like the Wii Remote one hand. I didn't really like that. I used the it's not called a Pro controller, but it's the controller that sticks into the pluggy thing. You know what I'm talking about, of the Wii, and it's like an actual
the classic
controller. Yeah, is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah, that's what I used. I also... Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you use motion controls when you play Splatoon? Yes or no?
I do.
Okay, yeah, I like the whole motion control aiming thing. I also, when I played Fortnite, I also used the motion controls for that too. I know it's probably better to do the dual sticks, but I don't know. I don't like it. I like the motion controls.
Well, I can't even explain why I like it on Splatoon. I'm a guy who plays first-person shooters a lot with regular controls. Like, I don't know why, but it feels so good on Splatoon.
Have you ever tried to play Splatoon with just the dual sticks? Because it makes you want to throw up. It's so
It
bad.
definitely does not work as well for me, yeah.
No, it's just like Nintendo purposely planned it so that motion controls are better, and it works. Everything else is just
Crazy.
not right. The other thing I like is being able to aim, and like I'm playing, like I said, Breath of the Wild over again, and you can aim the bow and arrow, which I think is obviously really great accuracy.
Love that.
So I like that. So if you're gonna implement it right. If not, then don't do it. Also, oh my gosh, totally just remember this. So back in the PS2 games, PS2 era, there's a game that uses a camera, which I guess probably belongs in the unique mechanics gimmick section, but it's called iToy Play. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And you mount the camera on top of the TV, and then it like reads your movements and stuff. So it's like what is that thing from Xbox 360?
Xbox Connect.
Yeah. It's like pre that, and it was so much fun. You could play with as many people as you want, as long as you could fit it in the area of that camera. You could like, I don't know, put your faces on things and they'd fly around. You'd have to like hit them or like, I don't know. It was just so much fun. I totally forgot about that. That was a fun time. I totally thought it was fun. But anyway, yeah, motion controls are great, but implement them perfect, and then they're great. Otherwise,
Obviously, a huge part of this is the freaking Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. Freaking love that crap. I love swinging around. I played my my only experience with Twilight Princess was on the Wii, and I played that with the motion controls. Obviously, I love swinging my sword. I feel like that was more fun than mashing the B button on the GameCube controller.
I agree. That was really fun when playing through Skyward Sword as well.
I think Switch Sports is still killing it with motion controls. It's even more accurate than it was. And I don't have to have this giant bulky Wii Motion Plus attached to it.
Right.
Even little things like just tilting your guitar up on Guitar Hero to activate freaking star power.
Yeah.
Like little things like that are so cool.
That was great. Also, I was going to say I played 1-2-Switch recently with one of my friends, and it is so fun. I know it's not a $60 game. It's really just like a tech demo. But freaking milking the cow and shooting the, whatever it's called, quick draw or whatever, you have to like shoot as fast as you can. That was so much fun.
It's just I need to milk a cow. Next time you come to Texas, bring that game.
I will, because now I own it. And then I thought of another thing. Oh yeah, the motion control implementation in Super Mario Party was also great. I know I bring this one up a lot, but we have to like flip the pan to sear the meat on each side. Love that. Yeah. That is great.
Yeah, it feels. I remember the vibration feels really good. Like that's very well made. Yeah.
Yes, it's great.
Oh, PlayStation Move. I don't have any experience with it, but PlayStation Move and the Wii, just like rail shooters, are so good from this era. It was so nice to have them. I guess brought back. Like Duck Hunt era and Super Nintendo era was like the last time that we had seen rail shooters, and so for Resident Evil and Time Crisis to come out again in the late 2000s was very nice to see.
Yeah, I don't really have any. I remember I went over to my cousin's house one time and we were playing a Star Wars game, and you stand in front of the camera and then you move around like you're using the Force. That was cool. But yeah. Oh, also, I have a question. Do you consider like the VR as like kind of motion controls? Because it is, obviously, but like, do we consider that motion controls or no?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Those are cool too. Not gonna lie, playing Beat Saber with the motion controls was like super cool. It's like swinging your lightsaber around, but like also a rhythm game, which is like right up my alley.
The Wii walked so VR could run.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Man, I did not think we would spend this much time on motion controls. I feel like I just thought of another one and I forgot.
Bring it on. They're great.
I guess that's all I got for now. Love me some motion controls.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's talk about underground or lost civilizations and ancient technology or ancient technology.
Okay, well, clearly I added that at the last second. But I, like I said, love sci-fi and all that kind of stuff. Love, absolutely adore when you can just explore ruins of like some fictional ancient civilization that just totally crumbled and ruined. You're like, well, why are they in ruins? Did they get bombed, or was it just one of those things where it was a natural disaster, or like did they destroy themselves? So Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think, is like one of my favorite examples of this. They have like, I don't want to ruin anything because like I don't want to spoil anything, but they have this huge explorable city, and you can go like inside of buildings, you can open chests and stuff, which is a reason to like reward you for exploring or whatever. But like the cool thing is they have like road signs. Sounds so stupid, but they have road signs from like actual society now. Like you can see an I-95 sign in the game, but it's like ruined and like crumbled, and it's like, wow, that's sick. Because obviously their society was supposed to be kind of like ours, without getting too spoilery. I just think that's so cool. And same thing with Breath of the Wild. Like everything is a ruin, and the way that Nintendo had built that world, I want to explore every single ruin, every nook and cranny. I want to read that person's diary. I want to look at that person's bookshelf and open the drawers. I just want to know everything about it. You know?
No, I don't, and that's why I love how much you love the story of video games. I mean, I
Love.
envy you for it.
I
I,
love
I
it.
honestly I love it.
It's so cool. And of course, like I said, I've been watching a lot of Tears of the Kingdom theory videos, but like, it looks like they're going to have some kind of underground, like, lost civilization. Like, I don't know if you remember, but when you're playing the game, there's like dragon statues, like boar statues, there's like animal statues in like the weird foresty area. I don't know if you remember.
I definitely don't.
Anyway, so it's a part of they're called the Zonai tribe or whatever, and it's like the lost civilization. They were like barbarians or whatever, and their technology and stuff was kind of lost to time. But like, there's so much detail when you explore that stuff, and it looks like in Tears of the Kingdom there might be an underground area where you kind of like explore their kind of old ancient technology. I just found that so fascinating. That's so cool. And let's see, another example I have here is when I was playing through Ys 7, which is the one I just played on the PSP. There's like 5 or 6 main groups of people in this, like, whatever the setting of the game is, whatever island that they're visiting, and they have these unique artifacts that help kind of keep the world in balance. But some leaders died, some tribes fought and like took over the other ones, and you kind of like don't really know exactly where these artifacts are or like what they're used for. But you have to travel around to all these like ancient altars and claim some ancient power to beat like the evil power, whatever the antagonist. But you're traveling around all these cool ruins. You're like, what happened to these people? It's so cool. I can't believe you don't like that kind of stuff.
I don't know what my deal is. I'm like 5 minutes into Bayonetta, and I'm like watching this super long cutscene, and at the end of it, I'm like, holy crap, what just happened? Like, am I just like staring blankly when these things happen? I don't know.
You just zone out? I don't understand.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to be more like you.
I love it. I will get into the nitty gritty and just look at everything because I can't help myself. But I love it.
Hook shot or any kind of swinging mechanic. I was thinking about writing this one down myself because I was actually playing one of my favorite games before this podcast, trying to get some ideas for concepts that I love, and I was playing Super Castlevania 4, and I don't know, I didn't know how to write this one down. I thought like swinging was kind of vague, but I'm glad you wrote it down.
Thank you.
Like, it's very common to see it in platformers for sure, like not the hook shot, but like you jump on a vine to swing across the platform, whatever. That's pretty basic, but in Castlevania, a lot of times you'll have to like shoot your whip, fling your whip, crack your whip. You'll have to whip a thing in the air to swing across a gap, which I think is very cool. But yeah, I guess that's why I didn't write it down, because I didn't have a lot of examples, but I do agree.
That's a great example, and I think you're missing one of the biggest examples, which is everyone's favorite friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Isn't that
Good call?
Isn't that like one
Good
of the
call.
biggest swinging mechanic-y games out there? Come on, bro.
You're so right. I do love me some Spider-Man games.
So I have not played any Spider-Man game, and I'm also really jealous that I'll probably never be able to play the Spider-Man on PS4. But I've heard that that's really fun, swinging around New York City.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that. Unless you're someone who forgets about it. I literally did not even think about that. Good call.
Spider-Man. I do have some other examples, though. Back to the Zelda thing. Twilight Princess comes to mind immediately when I think the hook shot. In-game, you can obtain the hook shot and basically grapple onto certain buildings and certain surfaces. Skyward Sword also has a hook shot. I think it just leads to like a different kind of exploration. I put in quotations here 2D quotation to 3D, because obviously the game is 3D, but like going up is a different kind of traversal than just walking around in 3D.
Especially because you can't jump.
That is correct. Not until Breath of the Wild. But yeah, so doing that kind of exploration I thought was always so cool. And just being able, there's one section in Skyward Sword where you're like going through a chasm and there's no ground. You can only grapple. from place to place, so that was really fun. So you get like a double hook shot, so you hook onto one, then you hang there, then you hook onto the other, and you fly across the chasm or the valley. I think it's so fun.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
As much as I don't like Wind Waker, there also is a whip in Wind Waker. You can like hook onto poles and swing from thing to thing, which, like you said, is really basic, but still fun regardless. Then another one that I thought of when I was writing these notes is Donkey Kong Country also has those cool sections where you swing from rope to rope.
Right.
And these sections can be obviously really difficult. It's all about like timing and placement. So like I know so many times I've jumped from rope to rope and either missed it because the other rope was swinging away when I was jumping, or landed like perfectly timed right on an enemy so it could kill me.
Dude, how good were the Rare developers at like perfectly placing enemies where they knew you would jump?
It was crazy. But yeah, those are often the most rewarding kind of levels for me because it's like, oh, I did it. You know, I got through. I didn't die. I didn't fall. But yeah, I like the swinging stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, I was gonna scold you if you didn't mention the double hook shot.
Double hook shot, even better than one hook shot.
Teleporting / fast travel is a very good one. I'm glad you wrote that down.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who plays a lot of Metroidvanias, I sure do hate backtracking. And if I do have to backtrack, please God, let there be fast travel. That's a must-have. That's all I have to say about that one.
I think going forward, as the games are getting bigger and bigger, like Breath of the Wild was absolutely like it needed fast travel. I mean, don't get me wrong, Breath of the Wild has other ways to traverse, like the motorcycle if you got the DLC, or like horses, which I think is still a really, really cool mechanic. But I could not imagine traversing that land without any fast travel at all. I think as games get bigger, it's going to be a more, essential kind of mechanic. You need it unless you want your fans to put down your game forever and hate it. You know?
Yeah.
The one example that I have that did not have fast travel, and I was like, this is like, I don't know if they did it to make the game artificially long or just the technology couldn't keep up with it, but Ark of Nepishtim on the PS2, no fast travel at all. Not a single option for fast travel. And the weird thing is they even have like the little stones for you to like save and stuff, which usually also include fast travel, but not in this one. Fast travel did end up in later versions of the game though, so I don't know why they just did do it for the PS2. But it was like, and the map was really long. From like east to west is so long.
What later versions of the game exist? They ported it or remastered it or what?
So I think the Steam or like the PC ports have fast travel where they kind of updated it. I don't quote me on this one, but I think the PSP one might. But
that
don't
would be
quote
hilarious.
me on that one. But yeah, PS2, no fast travel for you.
My brain just like, I don't even think of PC or Steam. Like, that doesn't even cross my mind. That's funny.
But yeah, love fast travel. It's great.
Enemies that are stronger at night, or when different monsters or enemies that come out at night. I sense Zelda coming with this one.
Wrong. You know what it is? It's Pokemon. So.
Oh yeah, Sword and Shield. Yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say, well, yes, Sword and Shield, of course, but Arceus also has the same one where you can adventure out at night and there's different kind of Pokemon. There's like ghost Pokemon and I don't know, not gas Pokemon, but like poison Pokemon and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
I think that's really interesting. You can encounter these enemies, of course, during the day, but obviously they're more likely to come out at night. I don't know. I just thought that was really cool. That's the only game that I can really think of that where that happens. But of course, like when you're traveling in Ocarina of Time at night, there's like skeletal enemies that kind of come out.
That crap
stuff
used
like
to
that.
Scare me, man.
Dude, Ocarina of Time has some in Majora's Mask have some scary characters in general. Especially Majora's Mask had so many jump scares.
I should not have been playing Ocarina as a kid. Those mummy things, man. The Re-Dead, is that what they're called?
Yeah, so there's Re-Dead, and then there's that one, like, globby, white, pinkish, scary monster that the hands come out. Ugh. And then the frickin', Crap, what are the hands that fall from the ceiling?
Oh, the freaking wall masters or whatever? Floor masters?
Yeah.
Good lord, that's horrifying.
Yeah, the Ocarina of Time has some scary polygonal monsters, let me tell you. But yeah, I like it when they kind of change, and even I guess weather is kind of also another mechanic that you can add into the same thing is where it rains or where it's electricity. It just changes the gameplay in a way that you wouldn't think it would. It's like, oh, it's just raining outside. Yes, but when it's raining outside, it's wet. You can't climb surfaces. Blah 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 blah. It's cool. It's something that you wouldn't think about would change it, but it does.
What does the Blood Moon do in Breath of the Wild? Do monsters come out?
So, what's really cool about that, I learned, is obviously when you're playing through Breath of the Wild, the enemies don't respawn. Like, once you kill them, they're dead.
Right.
But when the Blood Moon comes, that is when all the enemies kind of respawn or whatever. But it's actually, I can't remember exactly what it is. I'm going to sound stupid, but it's like the RAM of the system gets junked up because it's like it has to save all these spots where the enemies are dead. So Nintendo designed it so that the Blood Moon would come out and it would clear all of that. So just set everything back to 0. Like back to 1, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, very cool.
So, yeah, I learned that the other day. I was like, wow, that's so cool. But yeah, that's how that works.
Something that I no longer take for granted is maps. Maps that show you where you have and have not gone yet. Maps in general for me. Like after playing The Legend of Zelda last year, the original. Man, we talking about Zelda on every point. The original Zelda, man, you cannot play that game without the map that is included in the box. Good lord. And you think of games like the original Metroid, they don't have a freaking map, and even in the box there's no map. Like, you have to literally get your freaking graphing paper out and do it by hand out here. But yeah, specifically maps that show you where you have and have not gone yet. I'm playing Hollow Knight right now, like off and on. I've been playing it for a long time, but been picking it back up. And that game, it has a map. It's not your typical Metroidvania where like every square inch is covered the second you get there. It's like, okay, you're going to go traverse this land and you're going to find a million different paths that you could go to, but we're not actually going to record any of that on your map until you get to the next save point. Good luck. So that is like, it's like an added layer of difficulty, I suppose, but it's annoying. So I don't take maps for granted, that's for sure.
Well, there's a reason why in Zelda games, here we're talking about Zelda again, but why they put the map in a treasure chest. It's like, you need this map, and it's a reward. Oh, yeah. It's your treasure. You better treasure it. The other things I have for maps, though, is one thing that I didn't realize that was kind of helpful was when I was playing through Ys 8. So parts of the map are like blurred or like darkened until you reach them. So it's like, oh, I clearly have not been here because it's like blurred out on the map. So like the light areas are where you've been, where you've already explored on the world map, and the dark or the blurry areas where you haven't gone. And it even displays like in each little area that you go, it displays like a percentage of how much of the area you've explored. So say you've explored, 78.2% of the map, then it'll tell you that percentage, and then you can see clearly where you haven't been. I liked that. That was cool.
That's cool. I like percentages for sure.
Yes, everyone loves the percentages. Another thing is in Breath of the Wild, Zelda again, but they're just so good at everything. I think it's only part of the DLC. It's called like the Hero's Path or whatever, and it on the world map it basically draws a line of exactly where you've been, so you know exactly down to the precision point of where you've been, and that is how I found all 900 of the Korok seeds, so I can tell exactly where I was or where I've been. That is great. A comprehensive, nice map that you can see is essential, especially like as games get bigger and bigger.
Speaking of exploring, developers rewarding you for exploring is a huge thing. If I am playing a game, linear or open world, whatever it may be, if I'm going to go and take time out of my life to go and search a freaking crack or crevice, there better freaking be something. Do not make me go over there and find out that the game is empty. Do not do that. To all the developers listening to this podcast.
That is funny. not to give anything away, but that's kind of how I felt with Bayonetta. I was like, I just went over
Oh,
here,
yeah.
and there's nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Do you want to go through these bullets you have here?
Yes, sir, I do. You don't have anything for any of them?
Well, I just figured I can go through them.
No, I got this. So I broke this down kind of into how many parts? 1, 2, 3, 6 parts. Because kind of they're all kind of cut from the same cloth. It's like how developers want to do things. But the first one I have is hidden tunnels and secret passageways or secret areas. So the best example I can give for this is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I think the other ones have it, but I don't remember. I just specifically remember 2 having this. But the developers made like a specific point to have these kind of areas where you can specifically they're usually at like the peaks of like mountains, or like you go through a tunnel, whatever, to see like the overview of the entire land. So they're really purposely set up basically to show off the work. They're like, look how pretty this world is. But they make a point of putting like rare items there, or like collection points, or like chests and stuff. And then it's like something where you can see like a wide view of everything in the world, which I think is just absolutely awesome. Also, it gives you a bunch of XP. So it's like, you want to actively seek them out because it gives you a nice chunk of XP. It's great.
I think if I had to come up with an example on the spot, it would be Celeste. I think Celeste does a really great job of rewarding you with, like, you have to collect these strawberries throughout the game. You don't have to, it's optional, but you can collect these strawberries throughout the game, and they're pretty well tucked away, and that's not even the hardest part. Then after you find this secret area, you have to then get the strawberry, which is usually pretty darn challenging, but yeah.
And very rewarding, of course.
Right.
Another example I have is GoldenEye. So I was playing through it the other day, and I did some gun spray, whatever, and accidentally blew up some boxes, which then blew up a set of lockers right next to it, and behind the lockers was a secret passageway, and I was like, no freaking way, dude. So it's like the level where we're like in a secret base in like a mountain or whatever, but like behind the lockers is like a carved out tunnel, and then you're like basically behind enemy lines, and you can like pick people off one by one, and it kind of sets you up further down a level. It's like, dude, that is so sick. I love that. And there's actually secret passageways in like not all the levels, but like other levels as well that I already knew about. But this one I didn't. It was a very pleasant surprise.
I love that. I guess you could put like Easter eggs under this one too.
Yeah, for sure. I debated putting that one, but then I thought, well, maybe we can make our own episode about that, because there are a lot of cool Easter eggs and stuff out there we could probably talk about. So the next one I have here, it's kind of just a really long-winded sentence thought that I wrote down in my notes and then copied over, but it's picking up or finding an item, not knowing exactly what it's for, just forgetting about it. Like, yeah, it's in my inventory. And then they become either like a big part of the story, or are used in like the late game to unlock something, or like some kind of side story that then unlocks a side quest, which then, just kind of expands upon the lore, or you get to like develop a character a little bit more. Or maybe it's, some kind of armor that you need to fight a boss, or make the boss fight at the end a little bit easier, or unlocks a part of the story that's super interesting, and blah, 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 go down a rabbit hole. It's maybe not essential to the story, but it's like kind of a way to get character development, or like side lore, or just like stuff like that. But just like, oh, that's what that item is for. Or you pick something up and it's like, I don't know, you need it to build like some giant machine, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been sitting in my inventory since like day one of playing this game, and it's like, okay, I get it. That's what it's for.
That is actually, yeah, I do. I don't have an example, but that's a really great feeling whenever you finally get to use something that you've had. That's a good point.
It's great. And then the next one is new areas and old places being opened up like as the game progresses. So it like makes you want to go back and explore new spots in old places. So another one, this one goes with Pokemon Arceus. So throughout the game you get like buddy Pokemon. One of them is a flying Pokemon, one of them is a water one that you can ride in the water, and then there's one where he like, I don't know, climbs up the mountain. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Of course I do.
So it makes going back to those areas where you couldn't previously reach those, and you're like, oh, there's a giant mountain here, I'm just gonna climb up this big ass mountain. I don't know, it makes traversal a lot more fun.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much every Metroidvania right there. I'm just gonna say there better be fast travel, otherwise I'm just not even going back for it.
um Another good example of this is Zelda. Like when you're going through dungeons, there's always like an area that you can't quite reach, but you can see, and you're like, oh, I bet I need something to get back here. Often it's like bombs. It's like the first or second dungeon, and you don't have bombs yet, but you see an area that looks suspicious, and you're like, you know what? I bet if I come back here with bombs, I can open whatever that is. And usually they reward you with like, I don't know, a piece of heart or like an empty bottle or something.
Right.
But yeah, again, it's rewarding you for exploring and kind of, just traversing the world. Another thing, part D of this whole long section, is when developers, it gives you reason and rewards you for exploring. So, like we talked about, Breath of the Wild's world is so big, and like there's shrines and there's Sheikah towers and whatnot, but there's also Koroks, and there's 900 of them just floating around in the world. But you don't just collect Koroks to collect Koroks. When you collect them, you can expand your inventory, which is kind of essential to the game because weapons break and you want to keep certain weapons, but you don't want it to break, blah, 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 blah. To expand your inventory, I will say the freaking turd that you get at the end for collecting all 100 is not worth it. That turd does nothing. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I've never collected 900 Korok seeds.
Okay, well, maybe you saw, but it's literally a turd. Like, they give you a turd. It's called Hestus, which is the Korok guy that expands your... It's his something, but it literally looks like a golden, shriveled up, like, soft-served turd, and it does nothing. It's so dumb. But other things they can hide is, like, chests or helpful items, or, like, this goes back to, like, the story aspect, but sometimes in Breath of the Wild they hide, like, journals or notebooks, and you can read about it and be like, I know there's a recipe book where you can get, like, recipes and stuff, and there's also Zelda's diary, which is in her study, and you can read about her studies and stuff like that. I don't know, again, it just, like, kind of expands upon the lore, which is something that I absolutely love. I think you talked about this one a little bit, but it's, like, collectibles in every level. You talked about the strawberries and Celeste, but games like Kirby and, like, Yoshi, where, like, the whole premise is basically to get, like, all of the collectibles and stuff, it kind of gives it more replayability, I guess, once you finish the level. So it's like, oh, you want to collect these, 6 hearts. You want to collect these, blah, 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 whatever it is. They kind of depend on that. It's like badges or whatever.
Yeah.
Mario games are pretty deep into this as well. So Super Mario Odyssey, there's, like, different kinds of coins. I know the one that's, like, the in-game currency is, like, the purple coins, and it usually comes in, like, groups of 3, and they're not super difficult to get, but obviously the more coins you get, the more you can buy in the store, so you can get, like, costumes and stickers and whatever else. So those are usually pretty rewarding to get.
As someone who is a collector of things in real life, like, I love collectibles, and so if I, like, obviously catching them all in Pokemon has always been something that I've, like, loved, even though I never completed a Pokédex, like, I just love, I know.
Hold on, back it up. You've never completed a not once.
I'm about to finish Scarlet.
Oh my gosh.
You know what the problem is? Okay, this is not going to be a surprise. I beat a game, I roll credits, I'm like, alright, cool, now let me beat the after credit stuff, never touch that game again. That's my freaking problem, and I hate it. So that's why this time for Scarlet, I have prevented myself from beating the game. And I'm literally at, like, I'm 70 away from completing the dex, maybe 60 now, and I'm just like, I refuse to beat this game until I absolutely have to catch the last, like, 15 Pokemon or whatever. It's a struggle.
I can't believe it. Even I beat a Pokédex, and I don't even enjoy Pokemon that much. Not as
Why
much
do
as
you
have.
play it then?
Well, okay, I like Pokemon, okay? I'm not going to say I don't like it. I like catching things. I still play Pokemon Go on the regular, right? I like catching things. But, like, at some point, it just gets so repetitive. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Plus, I've said this a lot. I don't necessarily like turn-based battle. And the thing with the older Pokemon games is you could not get out of a battle to save your life. I mean, you can still run away, but you still got to click all the buttons. And then sometimes it doesn't work. And it's like, I don't want to do that. But, and same thing with Arceus. I haven't beaten that game. Still, but I got bored of it after so many times. Because you get to a new area, you go out and explore, you come back, you get more balls, you cook whatever, and then you just go back out and do the same thing again. I don't know.
And
I like
that's
it up
like
to
the
a certain
one
point.
game. That's like the one game where you can avoid battles the most. You know, like you don't even have to fight anybody if you don't want to.
But it's still the same thing. You still have to, go out and then go
Right.
back home and then get more balls and blah blah blah. So it's I don't know. But I have beaten a Pokedex. I believe it or not, the one that I did beat was Pokemon Let's Go. Let's Go Pikachu.
I do believe that.
That one was fun. And I even got like a bunch of shinies and stuff too. I really worked hard for that one.
Oh dang. Um, as far as collectibles go, like something I love is the type of collectibles that unlock stuff outside of the actual game, and you go back to the main menu, and it's like, oh, read about this, or come check out the character, like the concept art for this game. Like, I freaking love when they include crap like that. It's like, dude, thank you. Like, I'm gonna look at this once and never again, but thank you for that. I love that.
I appreciate the effort.
Same thing with like comic books. I mean, if I can unlock comic books when I'm playing a Marvel game or something, that's just so satisfying.
That's cool. They do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, which one?
Not Spider-Man on PS4. I don't remember.
Oh, man, that's so cool. I didn't know they did that. Well, shoot, I'm gonna have to play some Marvel games now.
Yeah.
Another example I have is, I'm going to bring this game up till the day I die, but Hot Wheels Turbo Racing on Nintendo 64.
Hey.
Love that game, but like the point of Hot Wheels is to get like super cool new cars, right? And obviously the developers knew this because they hid mystery cars throughout like all of the levels and stuff. So if you know where to look, they're like really, some of them are really well hidden. Then you can unlock super cool cars that like go faster, like control better, blah blah blah, all that car stuff. But then there's also ones that are kind of hidden in plain sight. So like if you're going over like a really crazy jump, if you go on one ramp and you hit a move or you hit a turbo at like the right time, then you can get to it. But it's like rewarding. It's like, oh my gosh, every time I pass this, I'm going to try to get this car, and I'll keep playing the level over and over and over and over again until I do it. So I appreciate that effort.
I never would have thought that collecting was a big part of Hot Wheels.
Well, now you know. I think you can also unlock tracks and stuff too, but don't quote me on that one. All I know is about the cars and how we used to obsess over getting the cars.
That's the GameCube game?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh.
I do not know. But then part
Well, where
F.
did you play it?
Oh, and then just Nintendo 64.
Oh, okay. Well, it's probably
Yeah.
not a GameCube game then.
Probably not. I'm sure there is one on the GameCube. There's literally so many Hot Wheels games, it's not even funny. Like, I tried to look it up because I was going to be like, oh yeah, I have all the Hot Wheels games. There are so many.
Oh, yeah.
So freaking many. And then the last part of this developers rewarding you for exploring is having parts of the map be unreachable until you obtain a certain item. So I said this earlier, kind of with the bomb things. But you get an item, you go back to a certain area, or parts of the area that you've progressed through open up. So like, I know people like to crap on Skyward Sword because it has a lot of backtracking. Like, there's 3 main areas and you keep going back to them, but like as the game progresses, like different areas and pathways open up. So yes, you are going back to the same places, but the places are so cool and so diverse and stuff that it doesn't feel like it's a chore. You get to do something completely different in all of these locations, so it never felt super like backtracky to me. I always really liked exploring all those places, and it's not like the same area. It's like completely different areas. It just so happens to be right next to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So backtracking can certainly be done awful. Like we already talked about Arcane and Piston, where I had to walk back through all those towns and stuff. Awful. Hated it. But I think, especially for older games, backtracking is kind of like how they kept the games longer, and also it was limited in the technology. Obviously, they probably couldn't do like teleporting and stuff like that, but I think as games go on, we're going to see less and less of backtracking. But it didn't seem like that big of a problem to me.
Yeah, I mean, you made a good point with the the fast travel teleporting. Like, as games get bigger and bigger, it's just gonna keep being a thing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was a big section.
Well, you're not done because you're going to talk about something that I certainly have proven throughout this episode that I do not care about is post-credit content. I am struggling to I struggle to play a game after I beat it. So, this one's all you.
All right. So unlocking levels, instead of them just being like open from the beginning and like as you progress through them, instead of buying them like you do now. But the big ones that I have is a lot of like the old school racing games like Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, like I was talking about, Wave Race 64, Adventure Beetle Racing, and even Mario Kart. Like once you've beaten the game in like one speed or like one level or like with one card or whatever, new tracks or new speeds, new cars, new upgrades for your cars kind of unlock as you play the game. So they're not available right from the start. Actually, another cool example that I just thought of right on the spot is Super Smash Brothers on Nintendo 64. Like you start off with a base. I can't remember if it's 10 or 8 characters, but anyway, there's 4 characters I think that you can unlock, and you have to like beat the game on easy mode, and then you unlock this character. And when you beat the game on medium mode with like 3 lives, or whatever, you get this character. And that was super fun to kind of find out how to unlock all these characters because it's not going to tell you. You just kind of have to figure it out. But usually it's like as you beat the game with harder and harder difficulty or like less and less lives, obviously in Super Smash Brothers, the less lives you have. If you lose them, you die. It's game over. But I think that's super cool. It also brings you like a sense of accomplishment once you do it. And also for the racing games, once you've kind of beaten all like the game, they're like, oh yeah, I beat all the tracks. What is there to do now? It kind of makes you want to replay the games, you know what I'm saying? Because racing games is like, once you beat them, unless you're playing with your friends, what else is there to do? Beat your ghost? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, bringing up multiplayer games for this point is a good one. Like, I think of Mario Kart Double Dash. You get this freaking fat, freaking made of pure gold cart that literally isn't even that great, but that was just something that came to mind. For multiplayer games, this is definitely a big one. You get all the good stuff, and you want to go back and play with it now.
Yeah, definitely infinite replayability there. Another example, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, is Ys Origin. Love that game. Ys has come up a lot today. It's like Zelda and Ys. But once you beat the game with one character, you can play as another character. So you get two characters from the start, a female and a male. And you can pick either of those. But then once you beat both of those 2 characters, then the third character, you can kind of play it. You can play the third character for them. So what's really cool about Ys is like the characters are all introduced in the beginning and they all have their own roles, but you don't see like what's happening. Like if I'm playing as the female character, the woman character, I know what she does. So like every so often one of the male characters come in and be like, oh, I got you this item, and then you use that item, but you have no idea how he got it, where he went, what he explored to do it. But then when you play as him, then you get to see his side of the story and like what he did to get the item, and then the woman is like completely just a mystery to you, like you don't know what she does. And then I haven't beaten it with both those characters, so I haven't unlocked the third one yet, but who knows what that character does. I don't even know what the character is. It's just like a blanked out thing, so I guess we'll see when we get there. But that's really cool to have kind of 3 different stories in one game and like one place. That's always fascinated me.
Yeah.
Another example is Nier Automata, which I played a couple months ago. It has a very similar premise. So you play as the female android, and obviously you play the game as her, you beat the game as her, you know exactly what she does. But then there's also a male companion who kind of follows you around and does stuff, but he also kind of does stuff from the background, and then once you beat the game, then you unlock playing as him, and it's exactly the same story, but you just get to see what he does, like what his side of the story was. And then there's also, like, after you beat the game, there's a message. I'm pretty sure it's from the developers, like the main head developer guy. He's like, thanks for playing the game, hope you enjoyed it, now the real game starts. So there's like all this other post-content stuff that you can do. There's like cool features, I guess there's like new outfits and new story elements that you can do. So I don't know, I just think it's really cool. It makes you want to replay the game again.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of what just came to mind is freaking Monster Hunter Rise. Like, we played like a quarter of that game
Yeah.
in its entirety, and we rolled the credits, and we're never picking it up again.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, though, because really the thing is you want to play with your friends. You want to take monsters down, like, with your friends. So, it's just, there's so much that you can do in that game. but like you don't really want to do it alone, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game was great, but I don't want to play it again. It's not for me.
All right, cool. Enemies or AI characters interact with the environment around them.
Yes. So you have any examples of this or no?
Not off the top of my head.
Well, let me take you to a familiar game called Breath of the Wild. So, some of the quest people, like the people that you get the quests
Oh
from and stuff,
yeah.
NPCs, they kind of like walk around. I know in Kakarika Village, there's one quest where you have to you play hide and seek with like a little girl or something, but she like runs all around the town, so she's never in one spot. Um, Also, something really cool about that is like the NPCs go to bed at like 8 o'clock, so then you have to wait until like 5 a.m. the next morning to actually talk to them. It just makes the world feel like more real, more livable.
Yeah.
Also, the enemies in the game, like, totally act like you think enemies would, and they're not just kind of like sitting there in T pose waiting for you to like get an area. They're like moving around in the terrain, and they're like hitting freaking beehives off of the tree and then getting stung by it, or they're like picking their nose, or they're like investigating something, or it feels real. I think that's one of the things that makes the game so immersive. But I don't know, I just think it's so cool how they implemented all these like different little behavioral things that the enemies would do and how they kind of walk around. And then there's also NPCs that kind of just, there's travelers who like sell you things, and they'll just be at random parts of the map at any time of day, just traveling. You can talk to them, you can buy items. They could be over here in the Fairham Woods, or over there by the Hylia Bridge, or like just anywhere, wherever you are. It's great. Love it.
That boy Beetle in the Wind Waker. His ship could be anywhere at any time.
That's true. Very,
I
very
think
true.
Red Dead 2 is a good example of this. There's pretty much everything you just described, but I would say Breath of the Wild does a better job of it. The way you were just I was thinking about the moblins and like whatever enemies are just like out there existing or walking around their tower. Like the bee nest thing was like the beehive thing was a good example. I think that Breath of the Wild does a really good job of that.
They're just doing their stuff, and I was obviously playing it recently, but like if their weapon catches on fire, they'll just pick that shit up and then freaking like try to still hit you with it. So it's like, oh, the weapon's totally gonna burn, because they do that in Breath of the Wild, but he's just totally gonna swing it at you anyway. But he looks at it, he's like, huh, it's on fire, and then he's like, I'm gonna swing it at you. It's just so funny. Love stuff like that.
Mini games or other little unrelated time killers in big games. I sure do hate mini games or other little unrelated time killers in big games.
I love mini games. You really hate them?
I think that I would skip them 9 times out of 10. Yeah.
Dude. Okay, well let me sell you on this one. So in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, this one is like organically integrated, okay? So I'll give you a little background without spoiling anything. So her name is Poppy, right? And she's an artificial blade, so she's mechanical, she's made out of parts, she's a robot.
Okay.
Versus organic blades, which are humanoid, look like people, they're made out of not flesh and blood, but they're humanoid, right? They're organic versus inorganic. And so there's a game where you play, and it's a really simple game. It's like you're traversing underwater, whatever, and you have to like avoid the enemies and avoid the platforms and whatever, but it's like not timed, but like the screen moves down, so you have to move within the screen. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. But the further you get down and like the more time you spend there, the more things you collect, you actually get like parts to upgrade her, which I think is just brilliant. So like she's got like an ether furnace or whatever, and you can like get crystals or whatever to like power it up. So like the more you play the game, the better she becomes, and then the better fighter she is. I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. It's good when they actually contribute to the main story or whatever. There was like Red Dead 2 again. You could play poker in that game. You could play poker for literal hours on end, and the money that you earn actually helps you in the real game, which is nice. But I could not care less, and I spent a lot of the game with very little funds.
Well, that's why. That's cool. I didn't know you
Yeah.
could play poker. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Any other examples?
Oh, dude, I got tons. You ready? Buckle up. So, there are also tons of mini games in Donkey Kong Country games. So, along the map that you go, there's like fishing and dancing and like, oh, how many bananas can you catch? Blah, 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 blah. So two of my favorite games from Donkey Kong Country, I believe these are both from the first one, is called Funky's Fishing. So it's Funky Kong's like fishing thing. You play as DK or Diddy, whoever it is, as they ride a swordfish, as they fish on a lake with a fishing pole. And obviously the point of the game is just to get as many fish, as possible in a certain amount of time. But like the more you get like bananas or lives or like cool little collectible things. And it's fun. There's red fishies and blue fishies and yellow fishies or gold fishies.
Wait, you're blowing my mind right now. This is on the Super Nintendo?
Game Boy Advance.
Oh, that's like the remake or port or whatever.
I don't know if it's on the Super Nintendo. I know I played it in the Game Boy Advance. So
You're talking about Donkey Kong Country though, right?
yes, DKC.
Okay, it's probably just like a GBA thing they added in. That's cool.
There's also one called Candy's Dance Studio, which is basically a rhythm game where you have to like hit the D-pad, like the directional buttons at the right time. So it's like DDR, but like Candy is
On a D-pad.
yeah. But Candy, which is the monkey that you're playing with, she's like an 80s workout model monkey. So she's got like a huge purple bow. Totally bipedal, by the way. So like walking like you or me. And she's got like a skin-tight leotard. So just picture that. Flanked by Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong. Or Diddy Kong and regular DK doing some like dance. It's fun. I love that game. But
we
I also
do love our
rhythm
rhythm games here at the Unlockable podcast.
So I would like that game. Also, it's like the levels in Donkey Kong Country, I just remember being so freaking frustrated by them. It was nice just to have a little dance off with Candy, I appreciate that. And then, we know all about this one, but Kirby also has a shiz ton of mini games. In fact, some of their mini games are so popular, they've become their own games. So in Kirby and the Forgotten Land, which obviously just came out on the Switch, there's a mini game that requires you to serve customers. You have to like pick the correct food and then send it out to them real quick. It's a pretty straightforward game, pretty short. I think the time limit, it changes depending on like the difficulty or whatever. But there's like a crazy amount of customers and they like swarm you and you have to like hit the right buttons at the right time. And then sometimes the image above their head, which depicts like what item that they want, is blurry or like it's loading in and you can't really see it, so you have to guess and you get it wrong. It's like, done. I don't know. Like I said, it's just fun. I love that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And then, finally, do you know what series also has a lot of mini games? We'll let you guess. It's one we talked about a lot today.
Oh, I just remembered what I was going to talk about with motion controls. Zelda?
Yay, you got it. Zelda has a fishing game where you try to catch the biggest fish. That's in a lot of games.
Yeah.
I think there's one. I know there's one in Ocarina of Time. There might be one in Twilight Princess, but I could be wrong. There's also some gambling games where you pay some guy a certain amount of rupees, and then you get a certain amount of time to like dig or find treasure or like whatever. That one's kind of fun. And then there's a target practice game. I think specifically in Twilight Princess. I think you're riding a horse and shooting, but I could be wrong about that. But it also inspired a whole spin-off game on the Wii.
That's what I was going to mention on the motion control section. I forgot about that.
Link's crossbow trading. So obviously it was popular enough to get its whole game. Or they just
either that or they wanted to sell the Wii Zapper.
Yeah, or that. Could be. But yeah, I like the mini games. It's a nice way to just kind of like spice things up a little bit, take a little break, detox,
That's my problem. I don't take breaks. I'm just in a rush to get this crap done. Like, why am I like this? I need to be more like Hannah.
You gotta sit there and relax, man.
Gotta play the poker.
Play the poker. That's all I got.
All right. Spin-offs. We got a whole episode on spin-offs.
Yes, we do.
Let's see. What's a spin-off that I freaking love?
Come on, you got this. We did a whole episode on it. You gotta at least remember one.
I gotta pull out my old notes.
Oh, don't do that. You could just watch the episode instead. Or listen, whatever.
I will say I do enjoy spin-offs, and I think as for someone that loves the story, I can see why you would love spin-offs for sure.
Love spin-offs. You know why? Because they usually expand the lore, and it's great. I love the story. Give me more story in every way that you can. Love it.
Right.
You want to hear my examples since you failed to come up with your own? Okay.
I'm pulling up my notes.
Oh, really? Okay. So I really like when gaming companies kind of take their IP and they kind of expand it out to, maybe reach a wider audience or just kind of, like I said, expand the lore a little bit. So the Persona series is really good about this. They kind of create something. Well, they know they create something great. Like, everyone knows Persona 5 is, like, one of the best games of all time, right? Well, they also kind of changed the, instead of, like, an RPG, it's more like a hack and slashy kind of, yeah. Hack and slash is like Hyrule Warriors, right? Yeah, like hack and slash kind of game with Persona 5 Strikers. So they know they did a good thing, and they're like, maybe not everyone likes the whole RPG thing, so let's change up the gameplay, give them the same characters, same story, and it'll mix it up, it'll draw more people in. I think that's so cool, because that's kind of what hooked me on Persona 5, and there's gajillion. There's also Persona 5 Royal, and like all these other kind of ports and like things with additions. I think that's super cool. I think they're doing great things. Another game that I've talked about a lot is Dragon Quest Builders. Love that game, despite never playing a Dragon Quest game. But it kind of fits into the story. I can't remember if it's 11 that fits into the story. That's like the same characters, but obviously they're like tiny and they build things. So it's a little bit different, but it takes place in the same universe, the same characters, and they kind of like reference the other games where it's like long ago, there was a hero, blah, 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 blah. And you can tell that they're just talking about the other games, even though it has like none of the same like mechanics as the other games. It's just fun. And then now, because I played Dragon Quest Builders 1 and 2, and I know a little bit about the story from the main games, now I want to play the main games. It's so smart.
Yeah.
It's great. Now I want to play Dragon Quest 11, and I bought it.
Probably not a lot of people playing the spin-offs before they play the main game.
I don't think that's true. How many games did we determine were spin-offs in our spin-off episode?
All of them. Every Mario game ever.
Every game was a spin-off. True. But yeah, that's all I got for that one. I just like them. Give me all the spin-offs. Make games more playable to everybody.
That was the best part. It was episode 19. And we determined that every Mario game is a spin-off of Donkey Kong.
It is! Prove me wrong.
I love that.
Everything is a spin-off.
I'm looking at my favorites that I wrote down. They're pretty freaking basic. I mean, Mario, Kart, Party, Golf, Striker. Like, these are boring.
Oh, come on.
Dang it. Where are my favorites? We got Pokemon Coliseum. Does that even count? I don't even know.
Sure does.
Metroid Prime is technically a spin-off of the 2D Metroid game. See, now I'm looking back at this, I'm like, what was I on? These are all lame. Donkey Konga? That one's not lame. We like us some Donkey Konga.
We like bongos.
Alright, yeah. Maybe I'm not a spin-off guy. Who knows?
Oh, Pokemon Puzzle League? That's great.
Ooh.
Love those ones.
I love how you're saying love this episode.
It's all about love. I'm talking everything we love. You can't see it, but I'm drawing a heart over my heart. Love.
Are we done on spin-offs?
We're done on spin-offs.
Button mapping. Are you talking about customizing them how you like it or what?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's important. I play a lot of games that piss me off when there's no button mapping. That is for sure.
Yeah. One thing Nintendo kind of slacks on is kind of button mapping. Button mapping. But I'm excited to check out Metroid Prime Remastered because they market it as if you could kind of toggle it so it could be more like modern shooters. We have the twin stick shooting versus what you had. I don't know what you had on the GameCube. I've never played it, but they made it seem like you could kind of customize controls to however you wanted.
Yeah. Um, I think that I've definitely heard about that, and it seems like it's awesome. I was just thinking about the scanning. This like goes into collecting. You're gonna love scanning stuff and adding it, and like you can read so much lore in that game. Oh man,
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
anything else for button mapping?
Nope, that was it. Also, it makes games more accessible to everyone. We like that. That's good.
Oh, I wrote this down for Bayonetta, the next episode. Freaking loading screens with something to do. I bet that's where you thought of this.
It's not, but that you're right. That you can do stuff there too, can't you?
First thing that comes to mind is Bayonetta. I also think about Splatoon 1. You could play that little 2D jumping game. I remember that while you were waiting for your match to start.
I never played the first one, but I'll take your word for it.
You didn't... What? I thought we played that together back in the day.
We've only played 2.
Crazy.
I've never played the first one.
Alright, go for it.
You know what I thought first? You know how on Google, if it doesn't load, you can play as a little dinosaur?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought of first. But you're right. Bayonetta, you can do.
It counts.
You can test out like combos or whatever, which is kind of really important to the game. The only thing I found is that the loading times aren't really long enough for you to do as many combos as you think.
You know, I thought that it was because I'm playing on the Series X. I was like, oh, this is way too powerful. I literally can't even push a button before the game loads, but I guess not.
Nope. It's really quick. Like, you can get, like, maybe one combo if it's, like, 3 buttons, and then by the time you're, like, up in the air doing the move, it's, like, it loaded already. So, maybe the original one was so atrocious that they had to do this, but it was a nice touch regardless.
Maybe on the 360 and PS3, because we're both playing, like... I mean, I'm playing the 360, but I'm playing it on a modern platform. Maybe it's different.
But anyway, like that. The other thing that I remember is, you remember when you're playing through Guitar Hero and through the load screens, it's always like some funny quip or like some joke or like something that's so stupid, but it's like, that's kind of funny. I like the attention that they did there. Also, Breath of the Wild has like cool hints and like buttons that you can press. Is like, oh, you can do this to parry or blah 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 blah, or like, don't go at night, blah, 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 or something like that. It's just nice hints and tricks that they give you. I like that.
It's become like a standard. Like, if I don't see a hint now in a game, I'm like, what are y'all doing? What is this wasted space here on my screen?
Yeah. It's just a freaking spinning orb or whatever. Or like something flashing in front of you. Like it. You like that here.
So when you're starting up a match online for Smash, you can hit the crap out of a sandbag, or you can hit the crap out of an enemy, I think. I don't do a lot of online Smash playing, but that's
now I think about it. When you play Splatoon 2 and you're kind of waiting for your match, not only can you, like, test out your weapons or whatever in, like, a little test area, or, like, change your weapon and change your outfit and stuff, but you can also, like, I don't know if you knew this, but, like, press buttons and it'll change the music. So, like, if I'm sitting there smashing the A button, it's gonna be like, wah, 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 in the music.
Oh, yeah.
It's so stupid, but it's fun.
It's been a while. Love that.
Like that. Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Love that.
Difficulty level options. I'm a little torn on this one, Hannah. Sometimes when I get options like Veterans Mode, I feel challenged.
Well, I like it. I will say, with Bayonetta, when I was playing the first time, I was like on super duper easy mode because I thought the game was really difficult. But then I played normal mode because I'm like, suck it up, you can do it. And it wasn't that difficult, but I liked the option. Also, another cool thing that you can do in like a lot of RPGs and stuff, if you're up against like a really difficult boss, you can turn the level down. Like during like just whenever you want, and you can turn it back up after. But like if you think you can't get through a boss, you can change it to easy mode, then the boss will be easier, and then after the boss you can turn it back to hard mode or extreme mode or veteran mode or just normal, like normal people. But I like that option because at the end of the day, people want you to experience the game and play it, right? They don't want you to be so difficult that you don't play it. I mean, maybe back in the day, like NES games, I know there's some that are super difficult, but now our attention span is a lot shorter. you know?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is back in the day. Like, on one hand, you're like, okay, maybe they made it freaking hard because renting games was such a big deal. They wanted you to get stuck and you couldn't beat it in the X amount of days that you had the game, so then you had to buy it. I feel like that's what they were going for in the NES era. But I don't know. Like, I definitely don't have an issue with difficulty level options for modern games. I I've definitely learned my lesson. I did Star Fox Assault on hard mode. Never beat that game because of that. I barely beat Metroid Prime because of that. So I'm exclusively like playing on normal these days. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say for that one.
I like the option. That being said, I know we shit on Kirby Star Allies a lot here, but that one that one definitely needed it. You know, I think that. Hey, also, when you're playing Breath of the Wild, you know the game that we talked about a gajillion times, but you also unlock like Master Mode, which is like a super hard way to play. And that's often the case with a lot of RPGs, or like a lot of games. I think Bayonetta is also one of those, where you beat like the hardest level, then a new level is unlocked after that that's like super extreme wicked mode or whatever it is. Also, Pokemon Puzzle League has the same thing, right? You beat the game in easy, then medium, then hard, then you get very hard. And let me tell you, it's very hard.
Metroid is notorious for unlocking like a very difficult mode in the 2D games for sure.
We like that.
I think that's a nice reward.
Yeah, it's great. I almost played Breath of the Wild again in Master Mode, but I think it was going to delete my other save file, and I was like, not doing that. I put way too many hours in that to delete it.
How do you feel about like boss rush modes being unlocked? Have you ever like been a boss rush person?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, same.
Just no.
Alright, cool. We're on to EXP share for the entire party. Shout out to Pokemon for making that a normal thing.
Yes. Yes. So way back in the day, it was Red and Blue that didn't have it, right? Obviously the first ones. You had
it was a lot of games for sure.
Really? I'm talking about just Pokemon, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so playing RPGs without that would be awful. Cause like for me, I know when I play an RPG, I pick a character and I stick to it. Like that's my main character. I might swap out like the second or third party person, but I play with one character. That's it. I master it. I could not imagine having that character be like level 87 and then the other characters that I don't play with being like level 20. You know?
Yeah.
We like XP share. That's great. That should be a standard in all RPGs like that. I just thought that was worth noting.
Is that a thing in other RPGs?
I don't think anymore, no. But XP share. I mean, you're talking about XP share? Yeah, it's a thing. It's a constant thing. That is the standard. We no longer go back to none of that.
Like the first 5 generations of Pokemon, it was like you could use an EXP share, but it would have to be for one Pokemon. And that, I don't ever want to go back to that.
Or like the XP share where it's like, okay, you get a total of 100 experience, but it's split up between all of your Pokemon. So each Pokemon gets like 20. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I want them all to get 100.
Save anywhere. How could anyone not be a fan of this? I do think that being able to save anywhere, like it makes sense when some games don't have it. I think it's like, I don't know, it would defeat the purpose.
Yeah, so some games add difficulty as not being able to save everywhere. It's like, oh, can you get to the next checkpoint within this amount of time, or like without dying, whatever. That makes sense. But like I'm playing like an open world RPG or something, action adventure. I'm like, I want to be able to save anywhere. I don't want to have to go travel to this stone that's a gajillion miles away. You know, it's going to take me 35 minutes to get back to it. You know what I'm saying? I like to be able to save right there. But obviously for games that were structured around, you don't want it.
I'm thinking about Ocarina of Time, man. Remember... Well, I don't know. Did you ever play it on N64 or did you just play it on GameCube?
No, I played it on Nintendo 64, baby. It was the first Zelda game I played.
Man, you press start, you press B, and before you could even blink, that thing was saved. It was so fast.
Yeah, love that.
Um, yeah. I guess I always hate it's. This is where it makes sense for like what we were just talking about. But man, I hate not being able to save in a freaking dungeon, and then like knowing dang well if I turn this console off, I have to like start back at the beginning of the dungeon.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's the price you pay playing Zelda.
Also, I was thinking about how Nintendo did themselves like such a justice by when you're playing like the old games on Nintendo Switch Online, you can have a save state where you can just bam load that up and go right back to it. I know you hate it, but I love that because
You know what?
there are many times when I'm playing a game and it's taking me so long to get to the next checkpoint. It's been like 3 hours. Like I can't play anymore. I got stuff to do, or just like I'm like brain dead. I can't do anything, so I have to save that because I don't have to turn it off. Like I was 6 years old playing Nintendo 64 and not be able to get back there.
You're a champ for playing through DKC3 with me without using save states.
That one, yes, that would make sense. No, it doesn't, because you could be stuck on a level and then have to turn it off. That's bullshit. I hate that. I can't believe we did that. Can't believe you made me do that.
Long video games. Oh, sorry.
So I'm pretty sure I went back after we hung up the phone and saved anyway, just in case, but I could be wrong. Yeah, this one's a pretty short one. It's just long video games. I like long video games, not artificially long video games where you have to backtrack and it's stupid, or they artificially make like you have to grind for like 10 hours to get to the end. Hate that shit. But I just like long form video games. I'm not going to sit down. I'd rather sit down and invest 100 hours in a game than sit down and play 100 games for an hour.
An hour is a little extreme.
Okay, fine. I'd rather sit down and invest 100 hours in one game than 5 hours in 20 games. Is that better?
Yeah, I think that is good math.
Thank you. I think you're the opposite, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I think 8 hours is the perfect spot to be for any video game.
No, I don't think so. Especially now with video games becoming $70. I want more. Give me more.
That's a very valid point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like me some long video games. No, I love me some long video games.
Please go look up It Takes Two and just go watch a cutscene because you sound just like the book.
Really?
I know I said that last time.
Oh, that's funny.
When games give the players multiple options on how to complete it.
Love. Do you have any examples for this?
I don't even know what this means.
What? Okay, I'll explain it to you. So, when you're playing games like GoldenEye or like any other 007 game, like you can play it as like you can be really, really stealthy and like sneak around the corner and like do like, you know, all these like stealthy moves. Or, like me, you can go blow that shit fucking, oh my god. We'll cut that out. Guns blazing and just freaking bullet spray everywhere and just kill as many enemies as you can. It works like 1 out of 10% of the time, or like 1 out of 10 times you do it, because you know sometimes the enemies are really smart and they'll just shoot you down. But yeah, you can do whatever you want, or they give you mines or grenades. You can literally just blow anything up. You can toss it down a hallway and kill all the enemies. Or you can snipe them from like 100 meters away. It's like however you want to play it. That's so cool.
Yes, I do love that crap for sure.
Love that. Also, in Breath of the Wild, I know, but I'm like I said, I am playing it right now, so that's the only thing I think of. But there's also multiple ways to like solve a shrine or a puzzle. So the coolest example I have was in one of the shrines that required you to like move a Sheikah Tech like electric orb or whatever, that's like, you know, electrified or whatever. Instead of using like the designed elements of like moving that orb to the specific thing to like get something to light up or whatever, you can just frickin' get electric weapon out of your inventory and use that. Like you can connect the circuit with a sword instead of doing what the frickin' shrine was designed to do. I think that's so neat. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Or no?
No, I have no idea. But I do think that it is very cool when you're able to like solve puzzles multiple ways. Like, yeah, I like that type of stuff.
So another cool thing about like a lot of the enemy camps that are just kind of around the thing, so they'll have like they'll set you up for certain things. So like One of the ones that I was playing recently is like there's an enemy camp surrounded by like a bunch of dry brush, and you can light that on fire, and
Oh,
then
heck yeah.
the fire will lead into them and kill them. There's also examples of there being like big rocks on like a boulder or whatever, and you can push the rocks down and they'll land specifically on the enemies. So there's like cool stuff like that. Or like I said, you can go in there guns blazing and just beat them all up with bombs, or like you know, go in there and kill them with your sword or bow and arrow or whatever. Like there's so many ways to play that game, which I think is
There's
amazing.
nothing worse than like finding out after everyone's dead that you could have dropped an entire boulder on them. Like,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
Yeah, but then they also set it up so like in the enemy camps, like the skulls, there's a light or like a lantern that's on fire hanging down, but there's also like just conveniently barrels of like that will explode if you hit them. So you can hit that and then make it fall and then just completely explode them. So you can do whatever you want. So good. That's all the examples I got. But
That was a good one.
thank you.
Quests that build on each other or are connected.
I know
Go
you don't
for
have
it.
me for this one. Okay. So once you do this quest or a quest, it kind of leads into another quest, and then you can do the second quest. Like you can't do the second quest without doing the first. You know, so it's like a cascading one. So like you help someone out, and then that person tells another person that you helped them out, and then you go help that person out, and then just kind of like a bing, 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 bang, a continuing thing. Um, so the best example I can give for this is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. We're moving up from 2 to 3 now. Um, there's a person in a colony, which is like the kind of the towns scattered around the world, and there's specific material or whatever that you need to give him in order to like upgrade stuff. But you can't get like all of the materials until like later down in the road, like through your journey. So it's like it artificially stops you from completing it until you like progress through the game enough. So like I'm in one area and I can only pick up raspberries. This is an awful example, but I'm in one area and I can pick up raspberries, right? And then so the first step of the quest is given raspberries. But then once you unlock that, the second part of the quest is given bananas. But you have not found bananas in your little area yet. So when you go to the next area, then there's bananas, right? And then once you beat the bananas, then you have to give them like kumquats, right? But there's no kumquats in your area, so you have to continue the story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Is this an
So it's
optional thing, or like you have to do it to beat the game?
oh no. It's all these are all side quests. By the way, I love side quests. Give me all the side quests. I don't care if they're fetching side quests or I love them all. Anyway, so while I was playing through Xenoblade Chronicles 3, so there's three main quests. There's the story quests that kind of progress the story forward. Then there's character quests that kind of like develop the characters a little bit, and then there's just regular old side quests. I think they're called something different, but there's three quests. Um, and so I was so lost in the freaking character quests and then the subsequent side quests that came up after that, after I kept completing all those things, that I played the game for like a good 10 hours before I realized that I wasn't progressing the story, like the main story, at all. I was just completely lost in my own little la la land, taking care of all these quests, but there were so many. And every time I beat one, like 10 popped up in this place. And I was like, I gotta do all of those so I can unlock all the lore, all the character development, all this other stuff about this one character, which then cascades into another character who I wouldn't have seen if I wouldn't have completed these quests. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like the stuff that builds on each other. But yeah, that's the best example I got for that.
I don't like fetch quests, but I can tell that this is more than just that. I mean, I'm thinking most recently something I played was Golf Story, and it was just like it wasn't fun like you're describing. I mean, it was a mandatory fetch quest. I had to go do one thing as a chain reaction, and it was just like this is not, it's almost like it's put into the game to extend it there at the end. It was just annoying rather than fun.
Yeah, artificially extending it, I get it. Also, a lot of if quests are done well, they're really good. Like I don't mind. Like a lot of quests with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is like fetch quests. Like you go to a specific area and you search around in the ground for like collection points and you get these specific amount of items, which doesn't bother me at all because I'm probably going to explore there anyway. But then they also have other quests like, oh, you have to beat these 5 monsters in this area, beat these 5 monsters in this area. I love those kind of things because a lot of the
I
time
think
you're rewarded like really well, so it's not
right.
like not worth your time at all. It is worth your time.
Right, I agree. I think making it optional and having this optional like sword upgrade or whatever it may be is the way to go for a fetch quest specifically.
Oh, you know what? Another thing I should have said is I like upgrade systems, but that really just has to do with like RPGs and stuff. So, but well, worth noting, I like upgrade systems.
Are you a
Love.
big fan of the like spider web freaking like
Oh
I
yeah.
oh yeah?
Yeah, so Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has this. I think it's really interesting. So each one has their own, it's called an affinity chart, I think. And so it is a spider web. So you unlock things at the bottom and then it kind of branches out as you go. And the more you get, the more you unlock. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has this too. Love that. Because you can kind of customize your character however you want them to be. So you can like really emphasis on like defense or like strength or like block is another one or like, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah.
Very customizable. That's a good one. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I can't stand that crap.
Love it.
Big surprise.
All right. Next.
Games where your actions impact the events of the game.
Okay. Go ahead.
I can.
You
I know
have
you've been
one for
talking a
this?
lot. I've played plenty of games where it's like you can be good or evil to affect the way the future outcomes or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think that's cool, and it's very difficult for me to like just choose one. Usually, I'm like reading and like actually like responding the way I would in real life, and it's like, do you want to do this horrible thing, or do you want to actually like each one has its benefits. Um, some games have this like little bar that will appear, and it's like you're leaning more towards the dark side or the light side, and
Evil.
I think most recently Dying Light 2 came out in 2022. I've been playing that one. Um, but yeah, like it's pretty cool to see like I think it's like a really fun, it definitely obviously adds replayability. I think it's a cool way um to I guess make the game replayable. Like it's I like it. I think I'm a fan of that.
I also like that. The only game I remember playing like that, and I didn't play it for very long, is Fable. I think when I found
Mm.
out it kind of had that kind of system, I kind of blew my mind a little bit. I really need to get back into that game because I have Fable 1, 2, and 3 on the Xbox, and I have yet to finish them. But I also looked up some other examples just because it's something that I'd like to explore more but never really have. Chrono Trigger, they said that that one has different endings depending on what you do. Detroit Become Human, I know, is another one that was kind of big a couple years ago. Witcher 3 is also the same deal. And Life is Strange. So, I have not explored them very much, but that concept has always really interested me.
I dig it.
Love.
Games with unique art styles.
Yeah. Got any examples?
Man, there's this awesome game coming out this year. It's like an indie game where you're freaking like going through the pages of a book. Man, what is that game
Oh,
called?
it's adventure. It's crap. I know exactly what you're talking about because I talked about it not that long ago. Dang it! It's like story time something or something to do with stories. Dang it! What is that one called? I know exactly which one you're talking about. It looks really cool.
I don't even know how to search it, and my keyboard's loud as heck. But yeah, that one comes to mind immediately. I think the art style. I don't know. What else do I freaking love off the top of my head? Cuphead is freaking awesome. I don't know if that's considered unique. They just ripped off classic Mickey Mouse, but that's a freaking gorgeous game.
That's one of the ones I actually have written down here.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. The other ones I have is Okami, which is the one we were playing as like
Ooh.
the white wolf. That one's like looks like old Japanese like hand drawn calligraphy kind of style. I don't know if that's the best way to explain it, but
Very unique.
that one's really cool. Octopath Traveler, which the HD 2D, Square Enix is kind of jumping into that a lot actually. I think that one's really cool. And then the other one I have is Yoshi's Woolly World, where everything is like yarn. I think it's
Oh
really
man,
cool.
any Yoshi, honestly. Yoshi's Story is a beautiful game.
Yoshi is great. Love Yoshi's Story. I tend to like Skyward Sword is another one that's kind of got like a unique art style there, but like I love the games that are super colorful and very vibrant and just kind of like pop, and I think Nintendo is really good at that.
Yeah. Yep, and the Paper Mario thing where everything's paper, the freaking Yoshi games, Crafted World, Woolly World, very good examples.
Is it called the Plucky Squire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The Plucky Squire.
Does
That one
that? I don't
looks
even
great.
know if that game has a good art style, but that popped in my head when we brought that up.
Yeah. Oh, the last one I have here is Super Hot, which is like the vibrantly colored like polygonal figures on like usually plain backgrounds. That one looks like you know what that game is when you see it. You're like, ah, Super Hot.
Right.
That's
Definitely
another one.
unique, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Well, I'm sure I could think of a million more if I had thought about this prior, but we will move on. Games where there are two parties adventuring at the same time but in different locations, switching perspectives.
Yes. Do you have any examples?
No.
Okay, so I talked about one of these already, which is Ys 8, where you're playing as Donna, which is thousands of years in the past, and then Adol, which I think is really cool. But one of the biggest examples that I remember is Paper Mario 64. Obviously, the main adventure is playing with Mario, but at the beginning of each chapter, or like the beginning of the game, you get separated from Princess Peach, and at the beginning of every chapter, because it's kind of split up like that, you play as Princess Peach in like her castle, and the things that she does in her adventure affects like what Mario does in his adventure. So like the best example I can give is I don't remember. It's really early on in the game, but Princess Peach has obviously been captured by Bowser, and she's in her castle, and I can't remember. She finds some kind of item, and she's like, oh, maybe if I drop this item from this distance, Mario will catch it. And then what do you know? Mario catches it, and it's like the stuff that you do as Princess Peach. Obviously it's pre-planned, you're not doing anything that's gonna affect anything, but then what she does affects what Mario does, and I appreciate that.
Well, I'm sorry, what game is this?
Paper Mario 64,
Oh, okay.
which you need to play, by the way. It's a brilliant game.
I think I own that one now, and I think we've had this same conversation before.
That's another one I'll add to my list of games I want you to play. But yeah, that's the only example I can give. I know that Tears of the Kingdom, people are speculating that Zelda is going to be playable, but like in her own way. I don't want to give anything away because I don't want to spoil anybody. Not that I know anything, it's all just a theory, but like Zelda might be playable, and you might be playing her separately from Link. Like she's not going to be in your party, she's going to be like a separate thing, which I think would be cool.
That'd be very cool.
That's all I got.
All right. No, I definitely don't have any examples of that. Games that have more than one ending, true endings, or even a true final boss. I kind of just did this last night with Sonic Adventure. Like, you play each person's story, and then I didn't even know about this, but the chat helped me out. There's a freaking supersonic story that you unlock. You're gold,
Ooh.
whatever, and you have to go beat the true final boss.
Whatever.
I was promised that it was epic, and it did not disappoint. The freaking soundtrack, that was pretty freaking epic. Pretty epic ending to a lame game, but good stuff there.
We'll be like that. All right. You want to hear my examples?
I would love to, Hannah.
All right. So, this is something that I know like a lot of games kind of did in the past. Like I know one of the most famous examples is Metroid. It's sort of like at the end of the game, depending on like how many hours you play or like difficulty or like whatever parameters that they set up, the scene at which you see Samus at the end changes. The first ending, she like just waves to you, whatever, and she's like, yeah, good game. And then whatever the difficulty you play, she like is in a various stage of undress until at the end she's like basically naked. So that's interesting. I mean, it's an ending, but really it's just kind of like a pixelated cutscene. I do have a better example though. Did you know that Breath of the Wild actually has 2 endings? Do you know that?
No, I definitely didn't, Hannah.
So they're not two different endings. Well, they are two different endings, but it's not like two different stories depending on what you do. So there's the regular ending that all players see after beating Dark Beast Ganon. Like, that's what everyone sees. You have to beat the game, obviously, to see it. But if you take the time to find all of Link's memories, the lost memories throughout Hyrule, you get an extra cutscene, which kind of, sort of, maybe, possibly sets up Tears of the Kingdom. It's Zelda and it's Link, and they're sitting there on the mountain, and she's like, the what is her name? Varuta, which is the elephant divine beast or whatever, is like not working, and she's like, I wonder what's happening. So the reason I say it kind of sets up Tears of the Kingdom is because they initially planned for what the premise of Tears of the Kingdom to be like another DLC. So they were kind of setting up that DLC pack, but we think that maybe that's going to lead directly into the Tears of the Kingdom story. We don't know, but that's fun. I didn't know that. I obviously found all the memories, so I saw that additional cutscene, and I was like, wait, not everyone saw that? Crazy. Also,
cool.
Go ahead.
No, I can wait.
Another example is Ys 8, which I will talk about again. But there's an actual true boss and a true ending, which I also didn't know. So I had met the parameters, whatever, to beat the true final boss. So I was playing it, and I beat what I thought was the final boss. And I was like, all right, that was great. That was such a good game. And then it showed a little cutscene, and there's another boss. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I gotta beat another boss? It's crazy. And it felt like I was playing like 6 or 7 bosses, but really it was only like 2. But there's the first game, or the first boss, the cutscene, and that's what normal people see. And then the overachievers like me, we get another boss, and then the true ending. But I think that's really cool. The developers like rewarding you for whatever parameter they set up. Love it.
I think my first experience, or at least my earliest memory of having multiple endings in a game, was Dishonored, a pretty big game from like the late 2000s. I remember having to like choose to save someone or like let them die.
Oh no.
Or something, or maybe like you had to be quick enough to save someone, and if you did, then you would get this ending. I think I totally didn't save that person. They fell off the map or something like.
Oh no.
That's kind of sticking out in my head.
Oh no.
And I guess that would be considered the lame ending or whatever, the bad ending. Yeah, definitely like a big thing nowadays in games to have multiple endings.
I like that a lot.
DLC that is done right.
That is right.
I'll just quickly, I have very little experience. I have played the Cuphead DLC, and it is excellent. Would recommend. Haven't beaten it yet. I don't know what done right is. Like, for me, I guess it's objective, subjective. I forget which one of those is which, but it is up to the person. And I would say that, like, if you love a game and they just give you more of the same, then that's probably done right, you know? But once again, I don't play a lot of DLCs. What do you think is done? What do you think a DLC done right looks like?
Well, I'm gonna say what I know DLC done diddly wrong is. So it's not like it's a DLC where the developers were like, we're gonna take out a huge chunk of the game and then make you pay for it, and then we'll give it to you. That's done wrong. Everyone knows that. So there's done right. Well, there's done wrong. There's done right, and then there's like done really, really right. You know?
Yeah.
So everyone knows when it's done wrong. But I have 3 examples here that I think are DLC done right. So the first one I have is Zelda Breath of the Wild. That I had it had an extensive DLC, but it was very clear that the game was absolutely and completely finished. That like Breath of the Wild was a full game, no doubt about it. Put 1,000 hours in it. Okay, full game. And when I say I don't think the DLC added anything that was missing, I don't mean that the DLC wasn't substantial, because it was. I'm just saying that everything that the DLC added was like supplemental. You know, it made the experience better, but it wasn't bad without it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the DLC added new shrines, new cutscenes, the master mode like I was talking about, which is the hard mode. The Trial of the Sword, which is like a freaking survivalist mode, which is so fun. The freaking motorcycle, new outfits, cool new bosses, blah, blah, blah. Everything added, like I said, was completely supplemental, but it made you want to jump back in the world again, which obviously I did. The second one is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC was so freaking massive that it got its own physical release. Okay? It got its own physical release. Of course, with another, it was called Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Yeah, Torna's The Lost Kingdom of Torna. Oh my god, I totally forgot what it's called. It's called Torna. I just call it Torna. But yeah, that's another DLC that kind of expands upon the world. It's like a prequel. So like throughout the game, you're playing and you hear all these stories about something from the past, something from the past, something from the past, and then I guess they wanted to show us what the past was, so you get to play the past. That was awesome. Also, it added like new blades, new lore, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then another one that I think that people, I think, would probably agree with is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Nintendo has done a great job of keeping Mario Kart fans happy by releasing more DLC, more tracks, more characters and stuff, rather than releasing 9. Like, everyone wants 9, right? But Nintendo's like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still selling like hotcakes. There's no way we're making 9 anytime soon. But what we will do is give you as many courses as you want, right? How many freaking waves has there been? Like 8? It's crazy.
That is a very good example.
So that is an example of doing it right, keeping people happy until the next one comes out. But yeah, when it's done wrong, everyone knows. But, you know, like you said, done right is definitely subjective.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly have nothing to add to that. That was really good, Hannah.
Thank you.
It was like a variety of examples there. I like it.
I put a lot of work into my notes. Who would have thought?
Dodge or parry. Most recently playing Bayonetta, and I was like, oh yeah, I love when there's a good dodge. Literally slows the time down. I'm going to try not to talk about Bayonetta since we have a whole episode about it. But Bayonetta has a good dodge, and then like I just love when you're rewarded for a good dodge and or a good parry in a game. I don't know if anything tops the parry in freaking Cuphead. It is very nice. I totally wrote notes about this somewhere. Interesting. Yeah, I freaking love a good dodge or a good parry, and I love when you get rewarded for it.
You know what game also has a really good dodge?
Next month, we cannot talk about this game once.
Agreed. There's another game, though, and we've talked about it a lot. It is Xenoblade Chronicles. No, it is Breath of the Wild. So they have a dodge where Link can jump backwards or jump to the side, and then he's rewarded by doing a fury rush where you can just like swipe the enemies a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
There's also specifically when you're fighting the Guardians, whatever, if you time a perfectly timed I guess it's a parry, but it's like where you bash your shield against one of the lasers that shoots back at them and kills them, which I think is just great. So you don't even have to have like a special weapon. You can literally just parry with your shield. And then you can hit the enemy. It's the only example I got.
I think that both of these are extremely satisfying because it's like right before you're about to get hit, you know, for dodging and parrying. And it's just like, man, if I can time this right, it's going to feel so good.
Agreed.
Great game mechanic. Loving that game mechanic.
Love that game mechanic.
I love it when people bring old games back in compilations or whatever to modern consoles and they add features. Those features can be gameplay mechanics. They can be freaking visual audio. I love that crap. One of my first Switch games I picked up was Street Fighter 2 The Last Fighters or some crap. I don't remember the name of it. The Last Challengers. Final Challengers is probably the name of it. It was like, okay, you can play Street Fighter 2 with all these awesome new characters, and you can freaking listen to the old soundtrack or have the new soundtrack. You can have the old graphics or the new graphics. Like, that is, man, I love switching it up. It's awesome.
That's fun.
I love when, we kind of talked about comic books earlier. You can unlock, or they're already unlocked. There's like comic book covers in the Cowabunga collection that came out last year, and so much concept art and stuff that you can just like look through. There's filters. I am such a sucker for filters. Like I talked about it with NSO earlier. Um, I just love it when you can change and make a game look as good as possible on a modern television. It's a great feeling. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that.
The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head is when Nintendo does like collections. Like I know when they did the Super Mario All Stars collection, they also had like concept art and like music that you could choose from, and just like facts about like the developments of the games and stuff that you could flip through. That was cool.
Heck yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of.
That Kirby collection on the Wii
Oh,
is so nice for this.
I totally forgot about that one. Yeah, that one's really cool. That one has like
Man,
a whole archive of like music. Like you can just listen to full ass songs.
love that crap.
It's great.
All right, get a good stretch in for this next one. All right, it's been like 10 episodes probably since we had the discussion, so I need to know what your beef is with achievements.
I just think it's stupid. I don't know. Like I'm not gonna play a
No, you
game
have to know.
just so that I can prove that I got this stupid arbitrary trophy that this developer said was good. I don't know. Like for me, getting the Koroks and just knowing that I got all 900 of them just by myself, and then of course bragging about it to you guys, I guess maybe, but like I don't need it to like stick with me like on my freaking profile. Like oh I got a freaking Korok poop. I don't need that.
When the reward is a golden pile of poop, I guess I can agree. Uh,
But they don't do anything. Do they save you money on games? Like, do they put you on top of like some billboard in New York City? Like, yeah, I got this. It's just not worth it.
I can understand not liking. I can understand not. Yeah, that's the right phrase. I can understand not liking them. I can't understand, and I would love for you to explain. I would love for you to explain why you like would hate them. I guess like why you would rather them not exist. Like as if they are causing you great pain in this world.
No, I don't want them to not exist. I just think they're dumb. And people who chase them are just, I don't know, they're chasing something arbitrary that someone said was an accomplishment, but is it really? I don't think so.
All right. I love achievements, and that's the next point. And yeah, I think that they are a lot of fun. They give me goals that I wouldn't have gone for previously. Um, I guess doing something X amount of times, or I don't know, just like it's an accomplishment to see how much score, whether it be trophies or gamer score, that you've earned. Because like, hey, if Nintendo had this, my freaking score, whatever they would call it, would be through the freaking roof. Because I've been playing Nintendo my entire freaking life, and it would just be like such a cool personal accomplishment to see that score grow as every console goes on. Like I guess they started doing the Mii's and like the internet services and everything with the Wii. So it would be like, hey, here's all the crap I've beaten since 2006 with Wii Sports on the Nintendo Wii, all the way through freaking 2023. Like, I just think it would be so much nicer if I could see all that crap and see all, like, look back at all of these accomplishments or whatever. And I love doing that with Xbox. And yeah.
Mm, I guess it's okay. It's just not something that I think is necessary, you know? But I'm willing to eat crow if Nintendo doesn't do anything about that. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I've just, maybe it's just because I've never experienced it, so it's never been something that's been a big part of my gaming experience. But I'm willing to eat crow if it turns out to be fun.
I've never heard that phrase before.
You've never heard that phrase before?
Eat crow?
Yeah, eat crow. maybe it's a southern thing. I don't know. I'm willing
Am
to.
I not in the South?
No, you are
Am
not
I
in
in
the
the
South.
North? Where am I?
Not in the South. I'm more South
Okay.
than you are, sir.
All right. Glad we got that over with. That was a tough one. Having the choice between different characters with different abilities. This is like mostly for multiplayer, but not necessarily strictly multiplayer. It's like always fun to pick your character in Mario Party. You know, I want to be Yoshi, I want to be Mario, whatever. But it's like, does it actually change anything? Absolutely not. I think that's kind of lame. But for a game like Mario Party, it makes sense. You don't want people having advantages um, in certain areas when it's literally a free for all. But you think of like Mario Kart, you've got different weight classes, you've got different freaking carts with different abilities. Like stats are a huge part of that. Any Mario sports game, yeah, I think that this is like something that can be taken for granted, but you know, it's a big thing.
This is also like really big in RPGs. So normally you start off with like one character. You can first there's some games where you can pick your characters, like Octopath Traveler. There's 8 different paths that you can choose, and there's 8 different characters. But a lot of RPGs, like you start off with one main character, but then at some point you add new characters, and then you can choose between them. And some are like spear fighters, some are sword fighters, some are more like tanks where they like take the brute of all the attacks on the enemy, stuff like that. And then also a mechanic in like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is you can change out like different blades. So you have one character, but they can have like 100 different blades. So there can be like spear fighters or like animal fighters, or ones that have like a staff as a weapon, or one that uses more like magic or blah blah blah. So all those kinds of things. It's also really big in RPGs.
Yeah, that is actually a very good point. And you know, you just unlocked something for me. The Unlockable podcast. You unlocked something for me.
Look at that.
One of these points that we just talked about. I'm not gonna go figure out which one it was, but dude, Trials of Mana fits perfectly with both this one and one we talked about earlier. There's like 9 characters that you can choose, and this is the ultimate replayability here, because you can't you can't get all 9 story arcs. You have to play the game at minimum 3 times. Because you have a party of 3 characters each time you play the game, and you select them at the very beginning of the game. And yeah, so basically you're playing through this game. This goes for the remake and the original on the Super Famicom, but the remake does a really good job. You can see, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Basically, you choose one main character, and that's the character that you're going to see like their full story. And technically, in the Super Famicom version, if you want to see all the stories, you're going to have to play this game 9 times. But the remake that came out on Switch and PS4 is more generous. They will fill you in on the characters of all the characters in your party's story. Instead of making you play the game 9 times, then you only have to play it 3 times only. But yeah, it's you see how all 9 characters are connected and interweaved, and I don't know why that didn't come to mind when we were talking about it earlier.
It's like one of your favorite games. How could it not?
Top 25 probably. It's a good game. Yeah, there you have it.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Challenge / difficulty. I don't think we need to go back into this, but I do love a good platformer that is challenging, and that's kind of why I wrote this one down. I'm a weirdo that really struggles with 2D platformers and gets enjoyment out of it. It's like a huge reward when I freaking beat a game like Ninja Gaiden or something.
Yeah, see, when games get too difficult, I tend to be like, why am I playing this? I don't want to play this anymore. This is stupid. I'd rather just play something else.
That's a normal response.
Thank you.
That is a normal feeling.
Count me as
Items that
normal,
actually
baby.
mean something. Items that actually mean something. What I mean by this is if you are, I know that was a long pause. If you play like Mario, dude, you're gonna get 100 coins. You're gonna get a freaking life. I love that crap. Do not feed me items that are gonna give me points. Who the heck is playing a platformer for the high score? Literally not me. No, literally no one. So I mean, there's so many instances in games where you get like some stupid food or some stupid pickup that does nothing for you. I don't like that crap. The coins in Mario give you points, but they also give you a life when you hit 100. When you get Wumpa fruit in freaking Crash Bandicoot, you are getting like it's a huge struggle to get all the Wumpa fruit. Like it's a collectible almost. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country does kind of a similar thing. I think I don't know if it's 50 or 100 bananas, but once you get those many bananas, then you get a life balloon.
Yeah.
A Donkey Kong faced life balloon.
The that's a good game for collectibles too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the modern ones, not so much the old ones. Items being rewarded for not being hit. Can you guess where I'm gonna go with this one?
No, I can't.
Freaking 2D Zelda games, man. You don't get hit. You got your flying sword of magic or whatever the heck that is.
Oh
That
yeah.
is such a good feeling.
So yeah, so some of them you can do like a spin attack and then you hit people around a circle, and then some of it's like a where your sword like shoots a beam. Yeah, forgot about.
I don't
that.
know who came up with that. That was a great idea.
I think even in our favorite game to talk about, Breath of the Wild, if your life is all the way full and you are wielding the Master Sword and you swing your sword, a beam comes out.
Dude, I think you're right.
I think I remember that. Yeah, that is great. Love that.
And I don't have any other examples for that, but that's a nice perk.
I have an example of when you're hit and then you're get points taken away or get penalized for being hit. But I'm not gonna talk about it.
Oh. See you guys in March. The last one that we have here is good swimming mechanics, and I swear water levels are bad enough, man. I swear please don't make me have to struggle finicky controls. Like I don't like water levels. No one likes water levels. I don't want any comments about how great water levels are. They're not good. The water temple in Ocarina is the worst thing that's ever existed in a video game. And Mario water levels, could do without them. 3D and 2D, they're just not great. And I think games that have great swimming mechanics are some generous developers. It probably is very difficult to develop that. And when I think about Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze,
I was just going to say that.
Not only does it feel so good, but it looks so good, man. It just the music muffles when you go underwater. I love that crap. But yes, the swimming mechanic itself is very good, and it's 2D, so that's a huge plus for them. I imagine 3D is not easy, but all of this to say, please design games with good swimming mechanics.
I agree mostly. I love that you pointed out that the Ocarina of Time Water Temple sucks, because it does. It's awful. That's the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. But Donkey Kong Country 3 we played together, I liked the water levels. I thought that was fine. I thought that was an example of it done right.
I honestly, you're right. It does feel good. It doesn't even feel like you're swimming a whole lot. I would say that the swordfish on guard is a big perk. Yeah, he is great to ride and definitely feels great.
I totally agree. The other mechanic that I was going to write is actually a good flying mechanic. Because I think it's very freeing, it's very fun. I know the mechanic and I guess sailing is also a thing. You could say that Wind Waker sailing was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But just kind of like that really free exploration. I like Skyward Sword. Like you could really just go and dive off of the platform and call your bird and then just immediately start riding on your bird. Love that. Um, that being said, on the Wii, you actually had to like, it was kind of awkward because you actually like kind of had to flap the Wii remote, so you're sitting there waving your Wii remote around. It wasn't super accurate, but they fixed that a lot when you're playing on the Switch, so I like that a lot better. It's just freeing, it's very fun just to be able to get on your bird, go fly to an island, hop off your bird, parasail down. I like that a lot. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with swimming because it can also be done really poorly.
Yeah, that's for sure. That is it, guys. That's 34 plus mechanics right there. Or
Wow.
what are we calling this?
Concepts, mechanics,
Concepts.
art styles, whatever. You name it.
Heck yes. Um, Let us know. Actually, some of you have already let us know what some of your favorite mechanics are. And we asked on Hannah's Instagram story and we asked in the Discord. So I guess I can go first because there's only 3. Chris, X Button Gaming says, I'm a big fan of relationship building in games. I love games like Stardew Valley, Fire Emblem, and Persona, where building relationships with the cast of characters actually adds to the overall experience of the game and makes the characters even more memorable. That is one that we definitely didn't think of. I played Scarlet Nexus, and there's a whole lot of that going on. And it's optional, so it felt good to like learn about each character, each NPC that was in the game, and just develop that story further. I'm sure that's very similar to the games he listed, but yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I also like that. RPGs tend to have a lot more of that. I've seen than many other games. Like I said, like the kind of the affinity level or like the skill tree kind of involves into that. But yeah, I like that. Very good.
Daily Beating says, I'm a sucker for leveling up. Number go big, my brain happy. So any game that is fun to grind is a plus for me. I like to have something to mindlessly level up in the background while doing other stuff.
I 1,000% agree. Love grinding if it's fun. Like I said, one of my favorite games of all time is literally just all grinding. That's all you do all day.
What, RuneScape?
Yep. Nailed it.
Fun. I guess if I have to agree or disagree, it would be a disagree for me, but that's no surprise. Funtime Wallace Games. Seems like most people hate it, but permadeath adds to your overall strategy when playing a game. I don't know what that means. Like permanently dead, so you have one life to play through the entire game, or what?
I believe that is what that means, yes.
That certainly requires some strategy. That's crazy.
I've never played a game like that, but sure, it's kind of the same thing like we said with save states. It's like if the game is based around that, then yeah, that makes sense. But if I'm playing Zelda and I die and I'm done for goodsies, me don't like that.
Yeah, that sounds very difficult.
Oh,
Yeah, I honestly,
right.
I don't know any game that has that. That's interesting.
I don't either. I know like the roguelike games like Dead Cells where you die and then something's taken away, but you get to play again. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Let's hear those Instagram responses.
All right, I got quite a few here. We'll just go over the best ones. So, Iron Knuckle or FE Knuckle says atmosphere, which is something that I didn't really think about, but that's true. I think atmosphere plays a lot into the games. So, one of the games that I think of most when I think atmosphere is Twilight Princess, which is a very like dark and gloomy and just overall kind of, like moody kind of game. But it totally fits. Like it fits the whole theme of the game.
I don't know if any game has ever been more atmospheric. Man, the soundtrack really goes well with that. I think
Very
about
true.
freaking walking through the prison as the wolf, and it's just like, man, yeah, great atmosphere.
Very true. That game just sticks out in my mind more than any other game, literally ever. um, we have Karen Miki, I think, on Instagram says sci-fi westerns. Now that is also kind of genre, or not genre, but what is that called? I mean, it is genre, but
Like
not like,
Outer Worlds?
yeah. So like, I wrote down some examples here. So there's Resident Evil 4, Fallout, Wild Arms, Borderlands, Oddworld, Stranger's Wrath, and then the one that I really want to play is the Outer Worlds.
Nice.
It's not really a series. It's not really a genre that I've ever looked into, but I think I would like it because I like sci-fi stuff, and westerns are
Yeah.
fun. Let's see here. We have Jesse's Floating Castle says anything with advanced character customization and plenty of unlockable wearables. I'm in.
Sounds
like
like
that.
Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah, that is like the perfect example. So I guess if you haven't played it, the more monsters you beat, like you get to make an armor out of their skin. It's a good way to put it, I guess. But yeah, that one's really good. Let's see. We have Luke likes games, says Fez, which is the pixel game with like you're playing as like the chicken, like the chicken's like the main character. It's a 2D platformer where you have to rotate the 2D world in a cubic 3D manner to navigate and explore. So when I think of that, I think of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Ah.
So it's kind of like that, but Toad is 3D, but this one's like 2D. But I guess it moves kind of 3D. If you know what I'm saying? That's what I think of when I think about that. So I guess that's the main mechanic of it. He also said Portal, which everyone knows Portal. You're hopping through portals. Cool. And then Braid. This also looked like a platformer, but the main mechanic of the game is the ability to rewind time. So you can solve different puzzles, or save yourself if you die.
I've heard about Braid, and it's like supposed to be one of the best 2D platformers in history.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't played it.
Shoot. Is it on the Switch?
No, it's like a 2010 era. Like a
Oh.
early 2010s, late 2000s.
Oh, man, I had no idea. Well, that's neato. Let's see here. We have WJ Danilo says the 2D HD art style of Octopath in Triangle Strategy. I want to see so many classics remade. We talked about that a little bit, but yeah, I agree. That's one of the most beautiful pixel art games that have come out in the last 5 years, for sure.
That's gorgeous, man.
We have Lynn Tenevs. I don't know, bro. These names are wild. Hug/petting of any kind. Playing Spirit Fair right now, and the hug animations are the best.
Can you pet the dog?
So, speaking of Twilight Princess, you can pick up the cats that are running around the world, and they have a whole little cat family, and you can pick them up.
I don't know if I knew that.
Yep. You cannot do that in Breath of the Wild, but you can feed the dogs things, which is cool. Let's see. We have Clumsy Smash DK 704 says the multiplayer that ruins friendships like Mario Kart or Overcooked. I think that's funny.
Oh man, I've been playing Overcooked again lately with my roommate and my girlfriend, and we're just 4-starring the worlds, and I just love that freaking game. But that's aside from the point.
I love the game. I like the second one better than the first one, but they're both great. Also, Moving Out, also fantastic.
Yep.
Let's see. We have Blast from the Past podcast.bu says Super Princess Peach. I love this style of game.
You're a fan of that.
I do. I have not played the game, but I do like the art style. It's very cutesy. It's very fun. But no, I haven't played it.
I need to buy that, and I need to play that.
And then, let's see. We have Axel Change 0118 says risk versus rewards. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Risking it all for the biscuit and getting big rewards. Gambling. Yeah, like playing poker. Then we have Evening Art says Fire Emblem's RPG and Conversations. That's an interesting one. So, the one that I think of is that has like the quippy remarks is Paper Mario. Paper Mario has absolutely excellent like sarcasm, humor, all that kind of stuff. You know
What is the response?
They said Fire Emblem's RPG and Conversations. So I don't know what the first part means, but I know what conversations means. So just like the interactions that you have, I guess, with characters.
Yeah, definitely can't go wrong with like I literally want to talk to everyone in Paper Mario. Those are such good NPCs to talk to.
I agree. And that's all that I got. That's all the good ones.
Thank you guys. Whether you listen or not, we appreciate the response.
Heck yeah. That was nice.
Nice to see Luke likes games in there. Love that guy.
We love responses.
That's it. That's a good 3 hours down right there. Hope you guys were ready to hear about concepts we love. We'll be back in March. We're going to be talking about Bayonetta if you didn't catch that. And
all about it. The good,
yeah,
the
if you
bad,
guys like,
the ugly.
We're gonna probably start doing what we're doing in March with Bayonetta in the future. Maybe every 3 or 4 months we'll do like another game that we just play through and talk about. So if you have any suggestions, we will gladly entertain them, and we appreciate you guys commenting if you're watching on YouTube, the liking, the 5 stars on iTunes, and all that crap. Much appreciated. Hannah, where can the people follow you at?
Game Girl Advance SP on Instagram.
Hannah, are you going to start posting on Instagram again?
It's so funny because every time I post a story, I get like thousands of views, and then I post a picture and like 3 people like it. It's like, thanks, Instagram. But yeah, maybe.
Okay.
That's the answer.
You guys can follow me at Bird Dog Gaming on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. And thank y'all so much. We love you guys.
We love you guys. See ya.